Sleigh bells ring, are you listening? In the lane, snow is glistening. It's a beautiful sight. We're happy tonight, walking in a winter wonderland. Gone away is the bluebird. Here to stay is a new kind of bird. He sings a love song as we go along, walking in a winter wonderland. And the Cubs open today, and the Sox play at guaranteed rate. It's snowing in the morning, baseball in the afternoon. Welcome to the region wonderland. Ba-ba-da-ba-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. A-la-ba-da-da-na-na-na-na-dee. Big trucks come down the boulevard, beeping at you, beep at me. La-ba-da. It's snowing in mid-April. I'm a-glowing. I went to Illinois. I got me a card, floating in a winter wonderland. How you guys doing today, everybody? AM 1230 WJOB. Big Truck. I'm Jim Dietlow, host of WJOB's morning show here on the voice and face of the region on AM 1230. Hey, thanks for beeping! And 104.7 FM. We're also streaming live on the TuneIn app. And of course, we are live in video because we are pioneers in live streaming video of live radio here on the Radio Innovation Project at WJOB. And so that means we're on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. So what do we got going here in the Midwest? We have an anomaly, an illamina, if you say it backwards. It's an anomaly. You have both the Cubs and Sox playing in the afternoon at Wrigley Field, a redone Wrigley Field, where it's all about the money. And then you have some higher ticket prices. And then you have on the south side, where it's not nearly as hoity-toity to hang out and watch baseball. You have them going at it today at 1:20. Sox moved their game up from nighttime to the daytime because, what is it right now? You know, I'm guessing just from sticking my hands out here. By the way, I'm out here on Indianapolis Boulevard, courtesy of Ironworkers Local 395. They build stuff. They may not be building too much stuff today, but in general they do. Hey, big Pepsi truck! And in terms of the weather, we've got quite the conundrum, you know what I mean? In that we are looking at 4 seasons in 1 week. Right now it is 30 degrees here at the Vackenstrand Till Studios on the campus of New Dewporth West. And I'll tell you what, it is not going to get much warmer than it is now. We've got snow a good portion of the morning, but that should taper off on just a little while. So I thought I'd come outside and spend some time with you. And then it should top out at about 38, 39 degrees. So if you got tickets for the Cubs game, you should dress like you're going to a late October or a mid-November Notre Dame game when they're playing Little Sisters of the Poor just for another victory. But you go anywhere because you want to tell everybody that you're a Notre Dame football fan, and that makes you better than everybody else. Don't forget. All right, then we have tomorrow. Not a bad day to have a second game. It'll be a high of 47 and some sunshine. And then by Wednesday, I'm not kidding, I ain't making this up. No way, man, no way, these and those and that's. Just like Melania. And Jimmy Kimmel made fun of Melania's these and that's. And he's, hey, thanks for beeping, but I'm doing a show here. I don't know. I ask you to beep and then I yell at you for beeping. Who knows what you're supposed to do? Anyways, by Thursday and Friday, we got a high of 70. So when is spring? Now, I know when winter is. It's right now. I'm standing outside here. Hey, big truck! 10 feet from a big truck. Here's another one coming. You guys should watch this, really. I mean, it's really quite the sight in the morning. All these trucks coming out of the, hey, big truck! And they're coming out of all the mills and all the refineries and all the transfer, a lot of garbage trucks. That was a garbage truck. They all go straight down 41 all the way to Newton County and they dump their loads. and really is quite the sight. But right now it's very wintry mix. So 29 degrees right now here at the Vac and Strand Till Studios on the campus of Newport West. It's 30 degrees at local 395 in Portage, and that of course is the ironworkers. And then you have local 697 and the certified electrician people on I-65 in Maryville. It is 30 degrees right now. It's 29 degrees at local 41 in Munster, and at 29 degrees at local 599 right around the corner here in Hammond, Indiana. And it's just really kind of weird to wake up in the winter. And then later today, it'll still be winter when the Cubs and Sox play. But at some point overnight, with all of this moisture still on the ground, it'll feel like spring. But just for about 10 minutes, okay? And then, like as it gets warmer tomorrow in the mornings, it'll feel like spring because there'll be some of this little moisture still hanging around. And then we'll go into fall. So tomorrow it'll be fall in a high of 47. And then by Wednesday, you get into a little bit more spring weather as it gets cloudy. Maybe a mist, but probably not. And then you get a high of 60. And then you've got summer. And that comes on Thursday when you get a high of 70. And kind of a sunny, partly cloudy day. And then you get spring again Friday as it's a high of 70. But in the morning, it'll be like 55 degrees and kind of rainy. So then you get spring again. So we're going to go back and forth and back and forth. Fall is tomorrow. Tomorrow's your fall day. Today's your winter day. Really the only winter day. And then it kind of vacillates between, hey, what's going on? Hey, clean off the side of your Corella Systems Control truck, will you please? Thank you. It doesn't take long to grab the broom out of the garage and walk out there and just take it across the side so everybody knows who you work for. All right. So there you go. Winter, spring, summer, fall. All you have to do is call, and it'll be here all this week. Tip your bartender on the way out. Let's talk about some stuff that's going on in the world. You know what? Somebody asked me to do this, so I'm going to do this. Every once in a while, you know, I write my blog, and I never really share it with you guys. So, I'm going to read it in a language known as Ishkamalufka. You ready? All right, it's going to start here in a second. All you got to do is what I'm doing on my phone on Indianapolis Boulevard is I'm going to jimdeloo.com. Jimdeloo, Jimdeloo. Who is that? Jimdeloo. Hey, what's your name? My name's Jimdeloo. I'm going to read it in Ishkamalufka. Nenya folohonya mahana husky. Hola folohomanena. You know, let's talk about environmental situations, and here it is. God, I can barely read my own stuff. Hey, thanks for beeping! Nice loud beep. All right, here I go. It's 8 p.m. on a Sunday night, and in a few hours, we'll get together and talk on the radio again. I'm not sure how I feel about that. The last time we talked, I was getting ready for the funeral of my 98-year-old grandmother. You'd think that this wouldn't be that big of a deal with her being so old and all, but all that the get-together did was remind us that much younger people than my grandmother died and left us all kind of wanting. I could go down the line and tell you tales of woe. Here's a couple. Keith and Kevin Brown came in from Utah, where they work as union millwrights. Now, they used to work around here as union carpenters, but somehow they went to Utah and they became millwrights. Beats the Sam Hill out of me. All right. Their dad was Charlie Brown, or Carl Brown. My Uncle Charlie grew up in the Frogsville section of Hammond, where the rest of the clan lived. Charlie was a really good running back when he was younger, but as he got older, he got into things like smoking cigarettes and driving around in hot rods. He would have been known as a hood back then. He could beat anyone's ass, but never made it to high school football. Now, his sons, the twins, Keith and Kevin, did make it to high school athletics here in Indiana. They wrestled and made it to the state tournament a few times. But their real passion was and always will be motocross. One of them, I can't remember which, is I think it was Keith. If it was Kevin or Keith, just raced in a national tournament. He It was in the rain, he said. Us Midwesterners, we know how to race in the mud. You open the throttle all the way and you don't let up until the race is over. Okay, well, that's his, you're not going to find that in any books, by the way. Hey, Sun Chips, thanks for beeping. All right, I'm reading my blog, by the way, if you just joined us, and I'm just going to read it all the way through because it has something to do with what we're talking about. There was a couple of sad stories behind my cousins, though, and we were reminded of these even though we didn't talk about them. Their mom died a long time ago. They were raised, for the most part, by their dad, at least after their teenage years. They lived in a big house in St. John. Now, my Uncle Charlie built it himself in the late 1970s. They were one of the first houses in that one subdivision on 93rd between Sheffield and US 41. There's an interesting story about the big tree that sits between the house and the pond that's part of their land. In the late 1970s, my Uncle Charlie was on a tractor cleaning the land. It was nasty, muddy earth. All of a sudden, my Aunt Cecilia comes walking up. "Seal, get the hell on out of the way!" Charlie yelled from the tractor. She didn't leave. She bent down, kneeled, and stuck this itty-bitty branch in the ground. "Gosh darn it, Seal, get that branch out of the way!" Charlie yelled. "No way, Charlie. That's going to be a big tree someday." And it is. You can drive down 93rd, go north a couple blocks on a side street, and hang a left, and right between the house and the pond is the big tree. Aunt Seal put it there. Anyways, but there is sadness in bringing both of these people up, Charlie and Seal. They both died of cancer. Dave Kuziak, you know him, the 3 or 4 of you, don't you? You should. He appears on WJOB almost as much as I do. The Deedlows and the Kuziaks have been friends for generations, if you can imagine that. Our link is that my Uncle Charlie used to be the running back for St. Stanislaus School in East Chicago. Kuziak's dad blocked for him. They won the city and every other championship because all they had to do was hand the ball to Charlie behind Kuziak's dad and no one could stop them. It's a lie. That's a bit of history that warms my chilly little region heart. How's that sound? Dave Kuziak is a talker. He can literally talk about anything, even stuff he knows nothing about. He and I did a show for a while called Jimmy D and the Coos. It was in the afternoon. That show was decent, but after a while I bought a newspaper and couldn't do the show anymore. When Coos and I go out to announce a basketball game, you know it's a pretty big game just because the two of us are there. We announced the entire League Central sectional a month ago. Go watch it. Dave Kuziak is quite possibly the best color announcer that you ever heard. He knows basketball and he can certainly talk. Kuziak often comes up with some far-fetched theories, though. They're not exactly conspiracy theories. It's just that Kuziak can bring in disparate bits of information into a cogent theory of why something happened. Most of the time you shake your head and tell him, "Shut the F up, Kuziak, you're crazy." Okay, I can't say what I wrote here, but you get the idea. Want me to say it in Iskamalufer language? I will. Kuziak. All right, but anyways, but at my grandma's funeral on Wednesday, Kuziak was on a roll. He came with my brothers and cousins and aunts and uncles and the rest of us to a funeral home in Maryville to say goodbye to my 98-year-old grandmother. Afterwards, part of the family retreated to Lexus and my house where we ate John's Pizza and drank beer. Hey, thanks for beeping! Casey Jones! So we drank some beer. That's when Kuziak started telling us his theory of why so many people from the Frogsville section of Hammond and the Roxana section of East Chicago keep dying from cancer. Big truck. It's pretty easy to just look around and see that there's a huge chemical plant in the neighborhood. The East Chicago Sanitary District is across the south shoreline, and there's a couple junkyards and some more small factories in the neighborhood. You drive over the huge rebuilt 9-span bridge, and if you look, and if you live in a place that doesn't have a bunch of industrial stuff around, you can't believe that people actually live among this kind of combustion. But they do. It just seems normal to us, though. Kuziak went on about his theory of the link between what was going on then and the cancer that is going on now and has been going on for more than 50 years. It makes a decent amount of sense. I didn't know exactly how much sense it made until my daughter Jeannie, who just left for New York City, said, Mr. Kuziak is often a bit far-fetched with his conspiracy theories. But I think that he may be onto something with what he was talking about on Wednesday, Jeannie said. Well, what's that? I said. She said, the one about why so many of our relatives are dying of cancer. How's that sting you, huh? I hugged hundreds of people on Wednesday night. Almost all of us lost someone who grew up in Frogsville or Roxana and died of cancer. Imagine that. The story cuts even deeper. My mom and her brothers, two of whom have already died of cancer, lived for a while in the Calumet section of East Chicago. Does that sound familiar to the 3 or 4 of you who read my blog? It should. That's a site, and that's in the national news. It's contaminated to the hilt with lead and other poisons, and it has been that way for generations. Finally, the federal government is in town attempting to clean it up. My mom and her siblings lived there as kids for a while. So where was the poisoning done? In Frogsville or Calumet? I don't know. I have no idea. I just know that I hugged a whole lot of people who, like me, lost someone to cancer way too young. Kathy and Robin and Ronnie Hedrick. Their mom, Aunt Shirley, died of cancer, I don't know, around 60 or so. Seal Rex, my grandma's sister, dead of cancer. Evelyn Smith, grandma's sister, dead of cancer. Hey, what's going on? Charlie Brown, we just talked about him. Dennis Brown, dead of cancer at 60. His 3 sons were at the funeral. Hey, what you doing? Hey, thanks for wiping off your truck all the way around. That shows just a little bit of care. It's all it takes, people. All right, so I'm almost done. Just relax, will you? If you're in bed waiting for me to finish, just give me another minute, okay? Like, man, I ain't getting up till he finishes this. All right. 10 seconds left. All right, let's see. Dennis Brown, he's dead of cancer. His 3 sons were at the funeral. Sean and Noah, they're out of Ann Arbor. Jason, he lives in Knoxville. Monica, the sister, she couldn't make it from LA. I could go on. The list is long. For me personally, at the top of the list is the death of my mom at the age of 47 or so of cancer. She fought it for years, so there was really only 42 or 43 healthy years of life. I feel that loss often, but no day as poignant as Wednesday. Hugging my cousins, my siblings, my uncles, nieces, nephews. It was as if with each hug, we transferred the pain of environmental cancer from one breast to the other. A chain not broken by time or distance. Just don't talk about it. Only Dave Kuziak can do that with any sort of credibility or eloquence. So there it is. I read it. Somebody had asked me to do that. And that's for you, unnamed person. What else is going on in the world? We can talk about it. The feds are still kind of arguing and stuff how they're going to clean up the Calumet section. As we know, they knocked down made everybody move out of the housing project, and they've started to knock stuff down over there. How deep are they going to go, and how far into the neighborhood are they going to go to get all the lead and the arsenic and other poisons out? Who knows? But Kuziak may be right, man. He was onto something. And I don't really listen to Dave all that much when he's got these theories. I've heard them all before. But it was the first time my daughter had heard it. She's like, you know, Dad, there might be something to that. Why are all these people dying of cancer? I don't know how my grandma made it to 98. She already told us. She goes, you got to smoke a lot and drink a lot of whiskey and eat a donut every morning. Okay, Grandma, thanks a lot. I don't know if I could do that and remain this svelte. But anyways, let's talk about what's going on the national scene. Can Donald Trump have more things going on at one time? How about Syria? Somebody dropped some chemical weapons, and then Trump comes back and says, you're going to pay a big dear price for that. What does that mean? I don't know. We don't even know. Somebody bombed some installations in Syria. We don't know if it was us or somebody else. It was a mystery country. So Trump has drawn a line in the sand. His national security advisor comes in Monday, and he's known as a hawk. So are we in for dropping some bombs on Syria? And will that get Iran and Russia mad? Because they're kind of on the other side in that? I don't know. Beats the Sam Hill out of me. How about a trade war? Would you like that? Well, the Dow was down almost 600 points on Friday for fears of a trade war with China, tariffs and so forth. I know locally here a lot of us want tariffs on steel, and I understand that. Hey, big truck, big truck. But ultimately, when you start doing that, it's kind of a slippery slope. Hey, what are you doing? Nice beep, beep. What'd that beep sound like? Beep, beep. And I'm just a little worried because just from living around here for like the longest time, you know, the tariffs come on and then everybody goes to work in the mill and everything's booming. Then they take the tariffs off and next thing you know, people are eating beans and tortillas and or grilled cheese. And next thing you know, we got people just don't have very much money around here at all. And so it's kind of localized depressions happen when the tariffs come off. So I'm a little worried about how that's going to go. What else is he? Hey, how about Jimmy Kimmel versus Sean Hannity? I like this stuff. Kimmel saying something about Melania's accent. Made fun of it, and he said D's and dats. And then he said to that short Mexican guy he has, "Hey, Shorty, you could be the lady." And Hannity's going on calling Kimmel a pervert, and it's pretty good stuff. And part of it is that these people need ratings. Everybody needs ratings. You know what I mean? All right, I'm gonna go inside as soon as Ryan gets out of the bathroom. Is that okay? Hey, Leonard's here. Brittany's here. How you guys doing? This is how you teach sports broadcasting, really. I've got two of my students. They all have to come in and they've got to spend some time on the morning show. And they're walking up and they're like, "No, isn't that our instructor standing out there singing songs in the snow?" And it is, because it's a beautiful time to be alive. When you can have 4 seasons in about 3 days, you just got to make use of it. And with that, I'm going to Le Canabahonia. I think you're in luck. I think just one more verse of the, come on, get out of there, will ya? What are you guys doing? There it is. All right, lyrics to Winter Wonderland. Let's do another. In the meadow we can build a snowman, then pretend that he is Parson Brown. He'll say, "Are you married?" We'll say, "No, man, but you can do the job when you're in town." Later on we'll conspire as we dream by the fire to face unafraid the plans that we've made. Walking in a winter wonderland. I'm Jim Delo, AM 1230, WJOB, and 104.7 FM. Also streaming live on Facebook and Twitter, The Voice and Face. La 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 la. Ryan's taking his sweet ass time to get over there so I can come out of the cold. The voice and face of the region. Click!
Fill your garage with your dream car during the Honda Dream Garage Spring event going on now at Napleton's River Oaks Honda. They're Northwest Indiana's destination for new and certified pre-owned Hondas. Napleton's River Oaks Honda has a huge selection of brand new and certified pre-owned Civics, Accords, CRVs, and Pilots. Come find out why you always get our best deal at River Oaks Honda. As always, Indiana residents pay Indiana sales tax right off 8094 on Torrance Avenue or online at riveroakshonda.com.
Napleton, second to none since 1931.
For a fast and friendly car wash, go to Easy Clean Car Wash. Easy Clean is happy to announce their new location's grand opening at 1637 45th Street in Griffith. Open 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week. Or stop by one of our 3 other locations in Highland, Cherville, and Lansing. Free vacuuming, carpet shampooer, air freshener, and towel with every wash. And it's fast, easy, convenient, safe, and gentle. Go to myeasyclean.com for more information. Do you have a family history of heart disease or diabetes? St. Catherine Hospital Cardiovascular Prevention Center providers are offering free assessments to help determine your risk for heart disease and other related medical conditions. On Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 9 to 11:30 a.m., you can stop by the center at 7217 Indianapolis Boulevard in Hammond for assessments like an ABI leg circulation test, blood pressure, body mass index, random glucose assessment, and more. You must be 18 or older, and walk-ins are welcome. You have only one body. Let St. Catherine Hospital of Community Healthcare System help you take care of it. You can also call 219-392-7CVP to book an appointment today.
John Salzader, Democratic candidate for North Township Advisory Board. You have heard me on these airways before talking about my family charity, its events, and the groups it supports. Now I've decided to run for your North Township Board. I am well qualified and ready to work for you. Elect John Salzader.
Approved and paid for by the committee to elect John Salzader.
Da 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 da. La pa do da dee dee dee. La pa da 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 da. Booparoo ra da da da. La pa da 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 da. I'm walking in a winter wonderland. Hey everybody, I am Jim Delo, and you can watch me on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And I put on the lavalier mic so I could walk around a little bit. If it sounds funky, let us know on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube in the comment section. But I just want you to see the beautifulness that is presented when it snows around here. And you may not see this for a while, so just get out and enjoy it. And also know if you're laying in bed and you're scratching here and you're scratching there, and then you do one of those, and then if you're MX, you get out of bed and you go, if you're doing that you must allow an extra 3 to 5 minutes this morning if your car's parked outside to take the brush from the garage, no, not the brush, the broom from the garage and just broom off your car, because there's a significant amount of snow. And I'm watching a lot of these people come down Indianapolis. Don't say Indianapolis, say Indianapolis Boulevard. And they haven't brushed the snow off of their other windows. They just turned on the windshield wipers and they started driving. And I'm like, you know, that is bad region winter etiquette. It really is. So get out, get your car clean. All right, 294 around the city. That looks pretty good in this minor April snowstorm. A minor April snow. Silent snow, secret snow. Do you know that poem? If you do, you're an English teacher for the last 22 years at a public high school. Anyways, 80 going east and west looks pretty good. Now, the Bishop Ford's got an issue. You want to know about it? All right. It is backed up from the Merch all the way to, say, I don't know, earlier accident. And that is backed up all the way to the big steel bridge. So try to stay off the Bishop Ford and the Dan Ryan right now. Skyway, Toll Road, Borman, I-65. They're all moving along pretty doggone well. Hey, you want to call me? 219-845-1100. Leonard will be answering the phones today. He's he's one of the students in my broadcasting class. He's here with Brittany. I'll have them on in just a little bit. But traffic is brought to you by Napleton River Oaks Honda, proudly serving Northwest Indiana with superior customer service. All right, what else we got going on? Weather. Now, this is the part that we talked about earlier. Can you have 4 seasons in just a couple of days? Yes, you can. And today, right now, it is 30 degrees here at the Strachan Van Til Studios on the campus of the Purdue Northwest Commercialization Center. It's going up, you know what, I think we're going to call it a high of about 42. A little snow this morning. Then it actually warms up a little bit and should stop snowing, and then the Cubs and the Sox can play a little bit later. Gets down to maybe 27 tonight, and then it hits up again tomorrow, high of 46, clouds and sun, not a bad day. And then by Wednesday, let's call it a high in, let's call it a high of about 61, partly sunny and breezy. And then by Thursday and Friday, you get highs of about 70 degrees on both days, and then Thursday should be a nice summer day. So here today, I don't know about you guys, but I didn't reach for the gotchis, but I thought about it. And I put my boots on instead of wearing those, like, you know, weenie little dress shoes. I put some, you know, hiking, construction kind of boots on. because I knew I'd be walking through slush all day. And by Thursday, you will be wearing flip-flops and some shorts. Now, I haven't sprung it on my sports broadcasting class, but we're also going to have another session later in the week where they will go live. And we're going to do that tonight, I think around 6:30 or 7. I'll be taking the sports broadcasting class live tonight. And then we'll do it again maybe later in the week. So we'll be doing it in the evenings here and there all the way through April. And then we'll be done with the class. But by the time, I can tell you this, if we do it on Wednesday night, I'll have at least 2 students show up in shorts and flip-flops. Now, I don't wear flip-flops personally because I have what's known as runner's toe. It's that little purpley thing on the big toe. It just never goes away out of the toenail. I can't get rid of it, even though my cousin's a podiatrist. And I'm like, you know, that's really embarrassing to you, Dennis Smith, because you have a relative that walks around like that and you haven't done anything about it. All right, guys, I have been off for a while. I was off Thursday and Friday. Who did the show on Thursday? Rick Kubik, yes, Rick Kubik did a great job on Thursday, I'm sure. And then on Friday, who did the show? Sam Michael. So Rick Kubik and Sam Michael, we have this little thing that goes on here that as the years have gone by, I have relinquished, and Alexis have relinquished more and more control to just a great staff. So when I left on Wednesday and I said, hey, listen, Wednesday afternoon I left, or late Wednesday, and I said, all right, guys, I'm going to go to my grandma's funeral, and then I got all this family in, so I'm going to take off Thursday and Friday. Unless it's an emergency, Ryan Walsh and Debbie Wargo, Jimmy Mullaney, Sam Michael, you get the idea, Tony Ponick, Kubik, they can all handle it. And so I really, to be honest with you, haven't really been in contact, so way to go, Kubik and Michael. Now, the one thing we do have to be concerned about, and that is that we have to think about our longtime good friend, Ron Harlow. And he is in a hospital in Chicago still, and we're praying for him. Honestly, I don't know the exact nature of the surgeries that he endured, but I know it was about 11 hours long, and it was on his head, and that was about it. And that's all I know, and that he's doing much better, and he's getting stronger every day, and that he thinks about you guys, but he will be gone for a while. So we are, now that I'm back here Monday, we'll sit down and figure out how we're going to handle the afternoons, and we will be bringing you quality programming. One of the things that's kind of cool is that over the years, I think Alexis and I have owned the station for now 14 years. We've developed a kind of a long bench. You know, there's a lot of people that want to help out, and we will be going into the bench to keep good local programming going on in the afternoons, but Harlow certainly is missed, and we're thinking about you, Harlow. And let's take a look at some of the stuff going on around the region. I wasn't here to talk about some of this stuff, so if it's been already talked about in some of the past shows, well, you'll hear it again. Carson's is closing in South Lake Mall. Did you guys see that? It was 140. They sent a warn notice, which you got to send to the state of Indiana when you're going to do these big layoffs. And if I remember correctly, it'll be June 5th when they're ending. And so what, 147 people or so without jobs at that point. What else is going on around the Calumet region? There is a lot of talk about the big tech center that's going, that is scheduled to go in on the old Commonwealth Edison plant property in the very northwestern tip of the whole state of Indiana. In other words, it's on the lake and it's on the Illinois line. So on the lake on the north, and Illinois is to the west. It's a beautiful property at one point, in kind of an aging industrial structure that I was in a number of times when it was there. It's been knocked down, and they're looking at putting a major data center in there. Tom Dockich, Whitehead, and another guy are all, a guy out of New York, are all planning to put this data center in. And what is this thing? What is this? Well, basically how this works. And the reason I know this is because, as you guys know, we've been streaming video now for 6 or 7 years. And we did it ourselves for a number of years. And we just couldn't get enough high-speed internet because we're in Hammond. And the only really great high-speed internet is by Purdue. Other than that, it's kind of aging infrastructure. So what they're going to do, or planning to do, is build these massive buildings. And then you can pay to put your computers in there and connect via high-speed internet to the main 350 Cermak on the south side of Chicago. And then you'll be right into the main internet hub of the Midwest, which is at 350 Cermak. Cermak and, I don't know what the cross street is. I've seen it, and there's all sorts of, it's kind of, at one time I saw pictures of like wires going in through the basement windows and stuff like that, but I think they've cleaned all that up. That was in the early days of the internet. So they're going to put this massive warehouse there and put these computers in there and also attach a tech incubator, not too unlike where I'm standing right now in the Purdue Commercialization Center. And they're also got this plan going where they're all of these computers, Netflix computers, Microsoft computers, Google computers, whoever puts them in there, and then much smaller companies, they generate heat, and they're going to try to grab that heat and then circulate it into a greenhouse that Purdue Northwest is going to be able to use. And that's pretty exciting. So there's a lot of talk about this kind of changing the nature of what we're doing around here. I had a long talk with Tom Dockich, not on the air, but separately. And Tom Dockich is, yes, that Dockich, Dan Dockich's older brother. I think he was mayor of Andrean, maybe 1977, something like that. And I think Dockich was originally scheduled to be Andrean in 1980, but he stubbed his toe, and he wound up in Andrean in 1981, graduating at 19. But so 77 or 81, not, it was supposed to graduate 80, graduate 81. So I had a long talk with Tom Dockich. We're going to have him on to kind of explain a little bit more about this data center and what it might mean for Northwest Indiana. Also, Kevin Campbell, sentenced to 55 years. According to the Post, I'll tell you how it says. Kevin Campbell slowly rose, paused, and took a breath before speaking at his sentencing for the killing of the mother of 3 of his children. I am not responsible for Tyara's death, but someone is. And I promise I will not rest until I find out who. Campbell said Friday in a Valparaiso courtroom. He's 33 years old. He was sentenced to 55 years after a Porter County jury found him guilty in the shootings of Tiara Thomas, 30 years old, his ex-girlfriend. And how dare him, prosecuting attorney Matt Frost said after hearing Campbell speak. If Campbell wants to find out who killed Thomas, all he has to do is look in the mirror. One moment, Tiara and I were preparing wedding invitations, and the next moment, she was gone. Robinson said he found true love with Thomas, and he wishes she were here to raise her 3 children who are struggling after her death. She gave everything to her children. It was who she was and was most proud of. Now, is this the guy that was the former policeman, right? Let me think. Frost said he found the manipulation Campbell had over his children in the case stunning. I don't know if you guys have followed this. We were talking about it before I left for a couple days from my grandma's funeral. And yes, he is the former policeman. Now, where was he a cop, huh? Kevin Campbell was always a, quote, hard-working guy who worked multiple jobs while he was a police officer in Hammond, Ann, and Gary, his father said. Susan Svertson, one of Campbell's attorneys, said Campbell has no criminal history, not even a speeding ticket. It's Campbell's background in law enforcement that Frost and Bradford said they found particularly troubling. He was supposed to be protecting the community, not killing people. So former Hammond cop, former Gary cop sentenced to 55 years in prison for the killing of a woman and 3 children in a particularly gruesome and sad murder that we've been following for some time. All right, guys, I'm going to take a short break, and I'll be right back on the other side here on AM 1230, WJOB 104.7 FM, also streaming live on the TuneIn app. And then also on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. The voice and face of the region.
Rush Radio Surgery deploys revolutionary technology in the fight against prostate cancer in just 5 outpatient treatments. With radio surgery treatment for prostate cancer, there is no pain, no surgery, and you can go back to your normal activities right after treatment. Prostate cancer does not fight fair, and neither should you. For more information, contact Rush Radio Surgery at 312-942-4600 or visit us at rushradiosurgery.com.
No case is typical. Results will vary by patient and guarantee other patients will experience these results.
Ironworkers Local 395, through their contractor employers, the Northwest Indiana Contractors Association, are the workers you see building Northwest Indiana. They are the craftsmen building your schools, hospitals, malls, steel mills, and manufacturing plants. They support local charities, including Tradewinds and Chasing Dreams, and they coach your kids after work and on the weekend. They live, work, and contribute to all of our local communities' economic growth. To find out more about these organizations, visit ironworkers395.com or nwicontractors.org.
If you've been arrested or convicted of a crime in the state of Indiana, listen up. You need legal counsel. Doesn't it make sense to call an attorney who not only knows the law, but who knows the system? I'm Nicole Bennett, a former deputy Lake County prosecutor. I do know the system and how to help you with your criminal case. From traffic tickets to cleaning up your driving record to obtaining specialized driving privileges under the new 2015 Indiana law and misdemeanor and felony charges. And as many of you have experienced, I can even have your criminal record erased. Call me at Westland and Bennett in Schererville, 219-440-7550. Again, 219-440-7550.
Hey, what do you... Hey, everybody. AM 1230 WJOB in Hammond, Indiana, 104.7 FM, the voice and face of the region. And this segment will be brought to you by Rush Radio Surgery. Check them out at rushradiosurgery.com. Hey, you know what? Nobody likes to hear this, but every once in a while there's a cancer diagnosis in the family. You want a second opinion? Go to rushradiosurgery.com. World-renowned specialists, and they've got the top-of-the-line equipment, and they can give you a second opinion like nobody else. Hey, Ryan, can you give me my notebook, please? Or a notebook. Oh, my gosh, we've got all 3 production people here. I'm so excited. And they're going to be running the show this morning as Ryan Walsh and Jimmy Mullaney are going to show them what to do. And then they're going to kind of sit around and just supervise for a little bit. And so it will be a Purdue student-run show for the rest here. And they better not mess up because Billy Baker's coming in, and he has like no patience for anybody in the world. Hey, let's take a look at weather brought to you by our good friends at Laborers Local 41, of which I am a proud alum. And if you're watching us, you can look right over my shoulder and notice that it's kind of wet. It has been snowing a good portion of the morning. I was out earlier, and I was out like 4:45 around my house, just kind of shoveling a little bit. And what a beautiful morning. It's kind of just a light, fluffy thing just laying on top of cars, and it covered covered my driveway and just a little bit. It's starting to melt now, but when I was out right when I got out at 4:45, it seemed as if you could have accumulation, and then by the time I was leaving, it actually started to melt. So, and that's what it's doing now, is the snow is hitting the pavement and melting, but it's still sticking to cars and to the grass. So it's got a beautiful look to it right now. A high of 42, a little snow this morning. That should end, and things should open. By the time first pitch comes to both Guaranteed Rate and Wrigley Field, it should be about about 110 for the Sox and 120 for the Cubs, both in Chicago today. And they're both going to freeze their butts off out there. As the first pitch should be about 34, 35 degrees. It might make 42 degrees by the time it's all said and done down here, maybe 39 up in the city. And then times of clouds and sun tomorrow, high of 46. By Wednesday, partly sunny and breezy, a high of 60, 61. And then by Thursday and Friday, you got highs of 70s. Thursday, sunny, and then Friday, got some big rain coming our way. And like I said, weather brought to you by Labor's Local 41. Let's take a look at traffic. 294 around the city looks good. 80 going east and west looks good. Bishop Ford had an earlier accident right near the merge. That's been cleared, but you still have residual backup all the way to the Steel Bridge. And then Skyway, Toll Road, Borman, I-65, US 30, and Klein Avenue all moving along pretty doggone well. And that should do it. Now, Jimmy Mullaney, I want one of these women with you and one with Ryan. And then about halfway through the show, I want you guys to get up and let them sit there, okay? Is that good enough with you guys? They'll figure it out. They'll do it. That's their job. That's why they're going to get graded on all of that, okay? You guys are going to oversee them, okay? And but for right now, they're just going to figure out what we're doing. And I've got one of the students with me right now. How you doing, Leonard?
Good. How about yourself, Jim?
What's happening?
Here, learning.
Learning? How'd you like waking up so early, my friend?
It was different. Not used to getting up that early in the morning, but you're right. Like you said, it was beautiful. The snow was falling. And
Leonard, where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Gary, Indiana.
What part?
Mostly the east side of Gary.
What's that, Etna? What?
That's pretty much the other side of Broadway before Miller.
Okay. Wasn't that, what do they call that? What's the name of the neighborhood that you grew up in? You can't remember?
I don't think they...
It's not Etna. Etna's not even that large of an area. But anyways, you grew up in Gary. Which high school? Horseman?
Went to Roosevelt.
Roosevelt. From over there?
Well, actually, the year that, not giving away my age, the year I was a freshman, Emerson closed, so they sent us all to Roosevelt.
Oh, okay, yeah. So when Emerson closed, that had to be what? Is that the 80s?
No, I thank you, Jim. Yes. That was the 80s.
Was it? Or it was the 80s?
Early 80s.
Early 80s. It was the early 80s.
Early 80s.
So you're studying sports broadcasting right now. Why?
I want to get in this industry. I feel like I got a feel for this. I understand sports. I love sports. I just want to get in this industry.
Now, is, you and I are both going to school right now. You know that?
Right.
And we're not your typical students. There's a lot of people that are 18, 19 years old in the class that I'm teaching with you. So they're, you're more than double their ages.
Absolutely.
Any effect? How do you take that?
It's like it's different, and it's like you're alone, and you really kind of feel like sometimes you feel like you don't fit in because you're older and everybody's younger, but in the same voice, you realize what your purpose is, and you're more focused at this age. I am.
So, tell me about it. Yeah, same thing. As you guys well know, I'm working on my MBA, and there are many, many young students that I'm almost 3 times the age of a couple of them. And it's the weirdest thing, though, is that once the classes start, I find that after this initial kind of getting used to me, all of a sudden I'm like one of the people, and like we're talking about, hey, did you take this teacher? Hey, are you taking that class? Hey, were you at the class the other day? And you're exchanging text numbers and stuff with students. Once the class starts, I feel the same, like I'm one of the students.
Yeah, it can give you that feel. You're right. Once you get into the homework and especially if you got like joint assignments and you got to do work together. So yeah, you can get that opinion.
Yesterday, the Cubs won and the Sox lost. Cubs won again. They won. They got 3 runs. But the Sox, man, they can't score. I think they haven't scored a run in 2 games. They've got beat 1-0 by the Detroit Tigers. And they will both open today at right around a little after 1 o'clock. They should get both those games off, but it's going to be pretty cold if you go up there as a fan. If anybody's going up there, I'd love to hear from you at 219-845-1100, either Cubs or Sox, and how you're going to dress and how you're going to handle it. All right, Leonard, you're here today. You're going to learn how to run the morning show, and just good luck with that. You can probably do it a couple times. And you've got some pretty good teachers here with Ryan Walsh and Jimmy Mullaney.
Well, thank you, Jed, and I'll do my best.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. All right, guys, let's get going with what's happening here around the Calumet region. And one of those things is that the stock market yesterday, or on Friday, was down almost 600 points. But that seems to be bouncing back pretty well right now as you're looking at the well, when I left, I was. So let's get an overnight market look at, let's see, the Dow is up 181 points right now. It had been up over 200 points at one point. So the Dow is opening at what, around a little below 24,000. But it should not open there. Actually, it should be up over 24,000 when it gets going. All right, what happened here? So what happened on Friday? Okay, let me go back here, a little bit of history. On Tuesday of last week, so 6 days ago, maybe it was, no, it's, all right, let's go back 10 days. Hammond Mayor Tom McDermott said something about Verley Suggs, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but it wasn't flattering. Verley sits with me on Tuesdays, as you guys well know. And then Verley came in on Tuesday and had some extremely unflattering things to say about Hammond Mayor Tom McDermott. Now, evidently, Hammond Mayor Tom McDermott retorted back on Friday. I did not get to close down. They let me know if there's something I need to deal with, but I did not get to see this. So I'm going to watch this or listen to this along with you. This is Hammond Mayor Tom McDermott from Friday, and just partly so I know what we're talking about here, we're going to play it right now, and I need to bring up Augs to make sure that it makes it on the radio. So let's go with that now, Jimmy. All right, I'm not getting anything there, Jimmy. Hey, Jimmy, we're not getting anything on the radio, so can you see what we can handle on that? So is there something not hooked up? What's that? Nope, it's not on the board. They've had this problem before, and it is not playing. Well, I think I can play it in audio on my computer in here, so we're having a little technical problem. All right, next time what we'll do is we'll test that audio. I don't know why it's not playing. You got something going on there, Ryan? What do you have? Ryan's going to try to fix that. In the meantime, I don't know what was going on. These guys are telling me I need to listen to this, so I'm going to listen to it here in just a moment. And in the meantime, while Ryan's getting that going, if you guys want to give me a buzz or anything, let me check out what's going on. You guys have texted a number of times here. Let's see. My wife was at Carson's yesterday, and they said that was a mistake in the paper. They are not closing in the mall, so that might be fake news. Really? Well, I don't know, man. I got out of the Times and out of, here's what it says right here in the Times. Here's what it says. Carson's warned the state of Indiana it plans to close its department store in the South Lake Mall in Hobart, much to the chagrin of region shoppers. But there's still a chance a buyer could save the long-standing retailer. The bankrupt retail business filed a warn notice with the state of Indiana saying 137 workers would lose their jobs. WARN stands for Worker Adjustment and Retraining Notification Act. The date of separation from employment. That's what the Vice President of Human Resources, Gail Monreal, said in a letter. The first date of separation from employment is anticipated to be June 5th, 2018. The closing is expected to be permanent. So, I don't know. Stupid, fake-looking snow. I got another text. That's pretty good stuff. It's fake snow, not real snow. All right, let's see. You won't be able to watch this, but you'll be able to hear it on the Facebook and Twitter. But I want to hear what Hammond Mayor Tom McDermott had to say on Friday. Here it is.
Right. Well, they're working on it. They're trying to improve. I'm like, these people are criminals, and you stand up for them every time they come on. And I'm like, had enough.
I thought it sucked, and I appreciate your call.
Thanks, Double M. We appreciate the call.
Good show, man.
All right, thank you. Thanks for calling it.
Yeah, I tried not to let that get to me, but I wasn't mad about places, and I talk about what the great things that Dita.
All right, here we go. Let me catch the beginning of this. All right,
about Hammond. She doesn't care about East Chicago. Tell us everything, what's going on.
What we're supposed
if
to be
you really care, Verley,
All right, I want to go back even more. You missed some of it.
The Civic Center, because we keep making improvements to it, but right now it's looking really nice. Believe me, I know.
All right, here we go.
Hammond Mayor's Slugfest is going to be great, and I'm sure, Mad Mac, you'll be there.
So
I will be there, actually.
I know you weren't calling to compliment us. I'm sure there's something else going on besides the compliment about.
He's trying to. It's like a hook.
He's like, start off nice and
here's
hit
the
him
bait.
hard.
Here's the bait.
So what's up, Mad Mac?
Yeah, well, I got a little offended and a little ripped myself, but on Tuesday, your buddy JED there seemed to tee up a little 10-minute dissertation for Verley there about, basically ripping you personally to shreds. And sometimes I don't mind it, but it's like accusations, tacit accusations of racism and collusion and just personal digs. And I was like, what is going on the radio station here when we're giving time to a woman who comes on and says, anybody who votes for Donald Trump is a racist. And I'm like, and then she just wants to come on and rip people to shreds.
She also said, I remind her of Donald Trump. She had like a 10-minute or 15-minute tirade on 10 reasons why she hates Tom McDermott.
Oh, it went on.
I don't understand.
Probably maybe 15 or 20.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't understand why JED lets that happen. I don't understand why every Tuesday he lets this woman who lives in Maryville, who acts like she cares so much about Hammond, Gary, and East Chicago. I mean, if you care about Hammond, Gary, and East Chicago, you host the East Chicago radio show, you come on here and talk about things in Hammond and Gary, then move here. Verley, if you really care, that's how you help our communities. It doesn't help us to have a Maryville resident drive in and tell us everything what's going on.
What we're supposed
to
do.
If you really care, Verley, move to Hammond, Gary, and East Chicago, and then I will listen to you, okay? But, she reminds me of Free Time. But the difference between Free Time and her is Free Time was a lot smarter, okay? And Free Time lived here. Marsha Honey, I'm talking. Marsha Honey was a Hammond resident. So as much as I hated what she said, I had to listen. She was a Hammond resident, right? Verley, I tune her out. It's just hate speech. And D'Lo puts her on every week. I just don't understand it. She is a nasty woman. And on Tuesdays.
I actually don't mind because I think it actually promotes my side of the agenda, the conservative
I agree with you. The more she talks,
she puts more folks our side, and I think it's a national thing. But I mean,
it's appropriate she's on Tuesdays.
Stuff is just it's blatant, and this is coming from a woman whose husband is involved in a job where that's all they do is hire people by what race they're on.
And quite frankly,
white people to the end of the line. And I'm like, this is ridiculous.
This
makes no sense.
I was mad I was mad, and I was thinking about lashing out at NIPSCO, and then I realized this guy's really not a major player at NIPSCO. It would be really unfair to NIPSCO to lash out at him over basically a lower level manager's wife who is a nobody, quite frankly. And so the thing is, what I've learned in the 15 years that I've been mayor and the 4 times I've been reelected and the 5 years I served as Lake County chairman, I've never lost an election. I get 80% of the vote when I run. What I've learned is don't fight with people like Verley because it only empowers her, right? She doesn't live in Hammond. She doesn't care about Hammond. She doesn't care about East Chicago or Gary. She cares about Verley. She wants to come in here and say, I know better than all you do. And I don't want to live in your communities. I just want to come in your communities and tell you what's going on. Okay? And D'Lo, Jim is a Munster resident, but he has $1 million invested in the city of Hammond, right? I respect people that invest.
And a Hammond family. Hammond roots.
Grew up in Hammond. Of course, his cousin was the mayor. So, I respect people that put their money where their mouth is. What has Verley ever done for Hammond, Gary, or East Chicago?
She's here on Tuesdays.
Well, I'll tell you what she's done for me is that she promotes all of these clowns who are on our run the Calumet Township, of which I paid dearly for, and yet all these people are her buddies in that, and they are stealing money left and right. And they're working on it. They're trying to improve. I'm like, these people are criminals, and you stand up for them every time they come on, and I'm like that enough.
I thought it sucked, and I appreciate your call.
Thanks, Double M. We appreciate the call.
Good show, man.
All right, thank you. Thanks for calling it.
Yeah, I tried not to let that get to me, but I wasn't mad about Verley. I was mad that I just don't understand why D'Lo lets that stuff happen. I really don't, because every time I come on WJOB, I talk about how great this place is, and I talk about what the great things that D'Lo's done, and I just don't get it. I'll be honest with you. I know. Anyway.
Mayor, I know that was a tough Tuesday for you.
No, it wasn't tough. It was just annoying.
I mean,
because she's like a little pissant that you just swat at it after a while. And I'm done swatting at it. Go ahead and talk your crap, really.
After
Seriously?
15 years,
if you really want to impress me, why don't you move here? By the way, a young African American executive couple It would be great if you moved to Hammond or East Chicago or Gary, and maybe like other people will follow suit, and we could actually start rebuilding our cities. But you don't do us
which
any
I think
good.
Hammond's doing. By
She
the way.
drives through. Think about it. She works in O'Hare as a stewardess on United Airlines.
Flight attendant.
Right? Flight attendant, right? She drives through it. Wouldn't it be much easier if you lived in one of the northern cities? Wouldn't it be a lot easier commute to get to Chicago O'Hare instead of from Maryville?
Did on a lot at Lost Marsh.
Right, or move to Gary. I mean, God knows, that would totally help Gary to have a couple like her and Mike move to Gary. But no, we just wanted to talk about Gary. I host a radio show in Gary, but I don't want to live there. I'll host the Chicago radio show, but hell no, I wouldn't live there, right? I like to talk about Hammond, but I don't want to live in Hammond. You really want to impress me, Burley? You really want us to listen to what you're saying? Then move here. If you're not going to move here, just shut the heck up. Shut the heck up and stay in Maryville. Why don't you talk about your own community? There's a lot to talk about. If you really want to impress us, move here. Other than that, just shut the heck up.
I think the mayor's back.
See you
from
next
vacation.
Tuesday, Burley.
I think the mayor is back from vacation. All right, what do we got here? We can't see the sign. The lines are all right.
All right, that evidently happened on Friday. And Ryan, come in here. Were you here? And I didn't hear that, so I guess my first exposure to it. And here, sit down for a sec. I'll turn you on there. So, what was how'd it go on Friday? By the way, did you guys miss me? I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, we did miss you. Well, it was going along well. The mayor, Mayor and Kevin had their topics, and they take the topics of the callers. And Mad Mac, as you know, he listens on Tuesday, even though he says he doesn't listen on Tuesday. He seems to know everything that happens on Tuesday here. It's kind of odd that when somebody doesn't listen it, but yet they know everything going on. He called in and asked Mayor McDermott about what happened on Tuesday, and got Mayor fired up.
Really? I guess I understand that these folks don't get along with each other. Verley has, says some stuff. I think the mayor said something about Verley, then she said something back, and now he's hit it again.
Well,
now she'll be here tomorrow, so I don't know what's supposed to happen here.
And Mayor McDermott and Verley don't get along. Mad Mac and Verley don't get along. But when Verley does something or says something, Mad Mac goes to Mayor McDermott like a little lackey or something.
What do you mean?
Well, he texted Mayor on Tuesday to alert him what was going on with Verley. And that's what Mayor told me. That's what Mac told him.
Well, we got the broadcasting class here. Why don't we discuss this? How should we handle this? I mean, is it Verley comes on and says some stuff that is not flattering to the mayor, and the mayor's mad about it, and I think he's questioning why we allow her to do that. I mean, what do we do? Should we just swipe her off the air because a local politician doesn't like what she says? They saying no.
Is it libel or slander?
I don't know. I think it's just when she puts her opinion about someone. Ryan, I think what happened is like I could take 4 days off because I think you and Debbie kind of understand by osmosis over the many years that these kind of things are going to happen and people are going to be critical. But the one thing that I learned from Larry Peterson and Colby and Irv Lewin and these guys is that you have to allow all voices to be heard on WJOB. I mean, that's the way that it goes forward, and it continues to go forward. And I feel that there's enough people around here that understand that when I'm gone, that's what we do. You and Sam and Debbie and Mulaney and Tony Ponick. Harlow certainly has kind of learned that over the years. And I just hope that at least we understand it here. If people criticize us for that, I understand.
We've been criticized for much worse than what happened
Yeah,
last
much
week.
worse than that. But, I want people to understand that this is a learned thing. I learned it from people before me, and they learned it from people before them, that you just got to stand up and you got to let people talk. And that's the name of this game. It's not a very...
It's freedom of speech.
It's not a very complicated proposal. Just let people talk. You could bring in the theoretical to it and so forth, but that's not going to change here. And I want everybody to know that as long as I'm driving the ship here, there will be controversial people. If they want to talk, the phone lines will be open. And that's just how this spirit moves forward. I will make a comment that we're in a period of history right here where what we do is not necessarily accepted as much as it may have been in the past. In other words, people are used to choosing sides in all issues and all parties and all personality conflicts, and they are used to doing that. And in a lot of definitions of the world these days, if you're not with me, you're against me, and that's unfortunate. But just understand that eventually sanity will prevail in this world, and what we're doing will come back to it. Now, I got to tell you, once they start doing these Facebook things this week, people are going to see the value of the local trusted media sources that will allow people to talk and that won't necessarily take sides. That's not in vogue at all. It's just, everybody takes a side and then yells at the other one. There's hate speech on every side of every issue, and I welcome it because it means for good discussion. But understand, what we do will continue as we do it. That goes to everyone. Anything to add to that?
Not really. I mean, they both stated why they don't like each other.
Yeah, and I know that just in that exact situation, Verley is very critical of.
We only have one sandbox here.
Yeah, is critical of the mayor, and even sometimes how we handle the mayor, and the mayor is very critical of Verley, and sometimes how we handle Verley. I understand being critical of Verley or being critical of the mayor, but understand, if you want to, think I'm not doing the right job or whatever, I'm just doing the job that Irv Lewin did, and that Larry Peterson did, and Julian Colby did, and then hopefully when somebody else is sitting here and doing my job in 20 to 30 years, they'll understand how it works. That's how it works here. And that's what makes WJOB special. All right, guys, I'll be right back. AM 1230, WJOB and 104.7 FM. Also streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Click.
Turn to find a trusted professional who can assure the safety of your home or business electrical system. Certified Electrician is here to help. Looking for a highly skilled electrical contractor for your next construction project? CertifiedElectrician.com is where to find one. We connect you with pre-screened electrical professionals living right here in Northwest Indiana. Experts in residential, commercial, voice data video, and signage. Certified Electrician can fulfill all your electrical needs. Visit CertifiedElectrician.com.
Men in Kilts is back. The Lake County Sheriff's Department Pipes and Drums annual fundraiser is Saturday, April 21st from 5 to 10 p.m. at the 4-H building, Lake County Fairgrounds. Featuring bagpipers, Irish dancers, silent auctions, and other entertainment. Tickets are $10 at the door, which includes your food and beverage. Come out and support this family-friendly event as we raise funds to honor our fallen brothers and sisters who have given their lives in the line of duty. That's Saturday, April 21st. Kids are welcome. For more information, see our Facebook page, Men in Kilts 2018.
Would you go to a doctor that isn't board certified? No, of course not. Then why would you trust in a lawyer that isn't board certified? If you've been injured in an accident and it's not your fault, get someone that's a board certified civil trial specialist by the National Board of Trial Advocacy. Get someone with over 20 years experience who's a member of the Best Lawyers of America and Indiana Super Lawyers and has achieved the highest possible peer review rating of AV by Martindale-Hubbell. Get Gladish. Attorney David Gladish in Highland and his team will deal with the insurance company and its attorneys while you put your life back together. Experience, ratings, and board certification really do matter. Get Gladish. For a free consultation, call 219-838-1900, 838-1900, or visit dgladishlaw.com. That's the letter D, Gladish law.com.
Knock, knock. Who's there? 648 in the Calumet region. I'm Jim Diedla, host of JED in the region, hanging out with you guys on a snowy, yes, snowy Monday, April 9th of 2018. And let's do a quick look at that weather brought to you by Labor's 41. Hey, a high 42, a little snow this morning, and then the Cubs and Sox play later. So you get winter and more winter all day long. But tomorrow you get spring and fall. There's a high of 46, times of clouds and sun. A little more spring and fall on Wednesday as a high 61, partly sunny and breezy. And then by Thursday and Friday, you get a high of 70. Nice with clouds and sun on Thursday. And then Friday, some rain and a thunderstorm. And we also have some, that's brought to you by our good friends at Laborers Local 41. Traffic 294 around the city looks good. 80 going east and west looks good. Bishop Ford and Dan Ryan. Bishop Ford had an earlier accident. Still a little bit tight as the merge going into the Dan Ryan. Then the Dan Ryan's also kind of heavy. So expect some delays going up that way of about, say, 7 to 9 minutes. Skyway, Toll Road, Borman, I-65 are all moving along well. Thanks a lot to our good friends at Napleton River Oaks Honda, proudly serving Northwest Indiana with superior customer service. Visit them right off 94 on Torrance Avenue in Lansing or online at riveroakshonda.com. You're up, my friend. And the answer is?
You're playing my song.
Dan Carden of the Northwest Indiana Times. Dan, of course, calls us from Indianapolis from time to time, and you guys read him almost every day, just about, on the front page of the Times. We are very proud of you, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed the show.
We talked about it at length because on Monday, all right, I'm going to tell people play-by-play because that's what I do.
Go for it.
The show starts out, and Dan Carden shoots to a lead, and he is ahead.
No, that was not what happened.
All right, well, you were right there with everybody, right?
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, but on Monday I got the first question wrong.
Yeah, something about ballet shoes.
Oh, no, that was on Tuesday.
Was it? All right, I got them mixed up.
Yeah, the first question was wrong about Reese Witherspoon movies.
Yes, but it was fairly even, right? Going for most of the show. And then near the end, the woman and the guy went ahead of you. And I think if I remember correctly, you had 12,600, and they all both had at least a couple thousand more than you, correct?
Yeah, that was on Tuesday.
Was it? No, well, up here it played on Monday.
No, I won on Monday.
You won on Monday, right? And then in Double Jeopardy, you were the only one who knew Robert Kennedy, what he did, correct?
Right, that was on Monday.
All right, so Monday.
Jeopardy.
All right, so in Final Jeopardy, all right, I did get them confused. All right, I watched both of them. So Carden puts all of his money up, and then we were sitting here watching it in the newsroom. There's like 6 or 7 of us, and we're like, wow, man, what's going to happen? You know, the one woman has like 16,000 something, and the guy has like 15,000, and Carden's got 12,600. And as soon as they put it up there, they put up a drawing of a guy that kind of looked like Robert Kennedy. And then the question was, which cabinet post did this person head, or what was his position in the federal government? So you had to know 3 things. You had to know who it was, because it was a Kennedy, but it was a little bit vague. But there was a couple telltale signs that it was Robert Kennedy. And then you had to know what his position was, and then you had to know where that position, what department that was part of. So as soon as they flashed that up, I yelled out in the newsroom, I go, Carden wins. He's a political junkie. He knows that one up and down. And I'll be doggone if the other 2 people missed it. Dan Carden didn't put all his money up, and he got Robert Kennedy as the head of the Department of Justice. So just for you, you're going to get another round of applause. Here we go from everybody here. What happened on Tuesday, Dan?
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what happened on Tuesday? The 3 contestants, we all had kind of the same background. So it was 2 reporters and an elementary school teacher who specialized in history. So, you know, one of the interesting things I've discovered about Jeopardy is how much the outcome really depends on luck. You would think it would be, you know, how much you know or how smart you are, but really it's the luck of the categories on the board. If they're, you know, your kind of thing, then you're going to do well. If not, you're going to have a bad day, and then the luck of the people you're playing against. I would have lost on Monday if either of those two people had known the right answer because they had more money to bet, but I got lucky and they didn't. On Tuesday, the three of us were killing each other trying to ring in on the stuff that we all knew, but then I think there were like 10 questions that none of us answered. There was a whole physics category where we were just like looking at each other like, physics, we didn't really pay attention in science class. So a lot of those questions just went unanswered. And I didn't get any daily doubles on Tuesday. It just, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Your measure of that entire experience?
Oh, it was a fantastic experience. I mean, it's something I've wanted to do my entire life. I've tried out for Jeopardy a bunch of times. I once made my father drive me to Milwaukee when I was a teenager to try out for the teen tournament back when they had like in-person tryouts before the internet. So it's something I've always wanted to do, and it was a great experience to go out there. Even if I hadn't won, it would have been a great experience. I mean, it's even better to have won, but the people at Jeopardy are fantastic. It's fun to play the game. It's fun to be, inside the studio and see how it all works. So it was a great experience all around.
Alex Trebek.
He's a nice guy. You don't really talk to him very much. You see him, really the first time you see him is when he comes out on stage to play the game. So they tape 5 shows in one day, and anybody who's not on the first show sits in the audience and watches. The other shows get taped. And in between, like during the commercial breaks, while the judges are working with the contestants and making sure their buzzers are right, giving them a sip of water to calm them down, Alex comes out into the audience and takes questions. There's about 200 people, just normal people in there in the studio audience watching the show. So he comes out and answers questions and tells jokes and talks about how he likes to drink and his love of Canada. He's a fun guy.
Somebody else, there's got to be people that are listening that want to be on Jeopardy. What advice would you give them?
I would say to take the online test. I think that's basically how everybody gets on there. That's how I got on there. I took the online test last May. They don't tell you what score you need to pass, but I've heard it's about 35 out of 50, maybe a little bit higher. I think when I looked back, I think I got 39 out of 50 right. But that's really where it all starts. If you take the online test and do well on that, you might get invited to an in-person audition. And at the audition, you take another test and you play kind of a simulated game just so the contestant coordinators can see how you would do if you were actually on the show. And then after the audition, you may or may not get the call to be on the show. I went through the testing process in 2008, 2009, and didn't get on the show. And this time I did it again, and I did. So it's really, like I said, it's a little bit of luck again. It's just sort of, are you the right person that they're looking for at that moment in time?
He's Dan Carter. You could read him, and you can send him a congratulatory notice at his email, which is?
It's dan.carden@nwi.com.
All right, let's go on to some issues. What's going on in Indianapolis right now?
Yeah, it's a lot of anticipation about what's going to happen during this special session that's coming up. I'm hearing mid-May. The governor hasn't set an official date yet, hasn't officially called the special session. He said he's going to. There's a lot of push to make it a one-day special session, but that might be hard to do because there's a few different things that they need to get done, and everybody kind of has to agree on them to get them done in terms of school safety and tax changes and some other stuff. And some legislators may want to try to do some shenanigans with some other bills because you can file anything theoretically. So we'll see if that happens, if they can keep it a one-day special session. A lot of Republicans who run the House and Senate are concerned about the appearance of the cost. It's about $30,000 a day to do a special session. The governor said it's better to spend that money and get especially the tax law changes right, but voters might have a different perspective.
Let's go to the Senate race. We're going to start looking forward toward the primaries coming up here. We've got plenty of that going on here. It's already getting a bit dicey, but it's also getting dicey in the Senate race. And it's not getting dicey because Joe Donnelly is running unopposed. I saw that he was setting his personal records in terms of fundraising, so they're really gearing up for a big showdown in the fall. But on the Republican side, there's been quite the fight going on between three people. Tell us about it.
Yeah, Congressman Todd Rokita, who's originally from Munster, Congressman Luke Messer, who represents central and southern Indiana, and former state representative Mike Braun, who's campaigning as a businessman outsider type. They basically all have the same policy positions. In the early part of the campaign, Messer and Rokita especially were trying to outdo each other with how much they love President Trump. Todd Rokita, in his latest ad, unabashedly puts on a "Make America Great Again" hat. Luke Messer, without irony, has suggested that Donald Trump be awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. So, they're all Trump Republicans, for whatever that's worth. And it's really going to kind of come down to what campaign strategy resonates best with the Republican voters. Remember, this is a midterm election, so you're going to have fewer people participating. You had a lot of interesting crossover voters in 2016. You saw a lot of, for example, union guys voting for Donald Trump when normally they might vote Democratic. So will they be voting in a Republican primary in 2018, or will they go back to the Democratic Party, or will they just stay home? So no one really knows who's going to show up and vote this year. So Rokita is running a kind of scare the voters to death strategy. Messer is running as the happy warrior, and Braun, as I said, is running as the outsider businessman, even though he served in the State House for 4 years. It'll be interesting to see which one resonates best with Republican voters in Indiana.
We're going to play that Todd Rokita ad. He went to St. Tom's, where I went, and Munster High School, and we're well acquainted with Todd Rokita. Quite frankly, I guess I'm looking at that one, and it seems as if Todd Rokita has kind of migrated from trying to work across the aisle and being a little bit more moderate to really embracing the Trump persona and the Trump agenda. But quite frankly, that's kind of happening across America, so it's not that odd. Am I reading that situation accurately?
Yeah. It's politicians go on sort of the last best information that they have. So in 2016, when it seemed like people wanted, or before 2016, when it seemed like people wanted, compromise and working across the aisle, sort of the Todd Young approach, that was what other candidates were doing. Now that they saw Donald Trump get elected on this Trumpian tweet everything, angry, statements and speeches and whatnot, that's where politicians are going now. They're saying, well, that worked for Trump in 2016, so maybe it'll work for me this time. Maybe that's what voters want.
He's Dan Carden, a Jeopardy champion. He won on Monday, but lost on Tuesday. And I think you can get bits of that on YouTube if you type in Dan Carden, C-A-R-D-E-N, Jeopardy, and you see a little bits of that. So, hey, man, you're back to regular life. I bet you've been getting a lot of people contacting you.
Yeah, it's been a little overwhelming. People you never thought you'd hear from again are congratulating you. So it was great to be a part of that show and let everybody know that they now know a Jeopardy champion. So
all right, I'm just curious because when that flashed up there, and Debbie Wargo and my sister and the rest of them were here, and I'm like, oh no, Carden's got this. And they're like, well, how do you know? I go, because he's like a political junkie. He knew right when that was up there. He knew that Bobby Kennedy was Attorney General. He knows that the Attorney General is in the Department of Justice.
He knows all that. He's got it. And they're like, well, let's see if anybody else does. I go, you know what? That's not an easy one. There's 3 levels. These people are going to, I think they're going to stumble. None of them were reporters. And I think he's got a shot here. And then you wound up winning. I'm just curious, how deep does your knowledge of Bobby Kennedy go?
You know, the funniest thing about that, so Jeopardy was filmed in January. Around Christmas, I was at the Central Library here in Indianapolis, just kind of wandering around, and I was looking for something to read, and I remembered that 1968 was 50 years ago, and I was thinking, I might need to do some stories about 1968 because it was such an eventful year with the Democratic primary and everything else that happened that year. I was looking forward to 2018, saying, what might I have to do a story about? Maybe I should get a book on it. One of the books I checked out right before I went to California was Ray Boomauer's book, Robert Kennedy and the 1968 Indiana primary. So I was literally reading a book about Robert Kennedy before I went out to Jeopardy and ended up getting asked about Robert Kennedy.
There it is, the luck of the draw, as Dan illustrated earlier. Dan, we're proud of you. Thanks a lot for calling in, like always.
My pleasure.
Talk to you. All right, guys, I'll be right back here on the voice and face of the region, AM 1230, WJOB, 104.7 FM, here in Hammond, Indiana.
Fill your garage with your dream car during the Honda Dream Garage Spring event going on now at Napleton's River Oaks Honda. They're Northwest Indiana's destination for new and certified pre-owned Hondas. Napleton's River Oaks Honda has a huge selection of brand new and certified pre-owned Civics, Accords, CRVs, and Pilots. Come find out why you always get our best deal at River Oaks Honda. As always, Indiana residents pay Indiana sales tax right off 8094 on Torrance Avenue or online at riveroakshonda.com.
Napleton, second to none since 1931.
John Salzader, candidate for North Township Advisory Board. I am fully qualified, experienced, and will bring a new face and new vision to your township government. Elect John Salzader, SALZEIDER, on May 8th, Democrat.
Approved and paid for by the committee to elect John Salzader.
You know, I enjoy watching basketball at home, but I think we should go over to Johnny's Tap in Munster for drinks and fun.
Yeah, I like going to Johnny's Tap.
Speaking of fun, I'd like to introduce you to Mr. and Mrs. Fun.
Mr. Who and Mrs. Who?
Mr. and Mrs. Fun, but they're at Johnny's Tap.
Okay, I'll see you there, at the corner of Broadmoor and Calumet Avenue. Yeah, I like going to Johnny's Tap.
Johnny's Tap. New ownership, now smoke-free, and still the home of Mr. and Mrs. Fun.
A real neighborhood type of place.
On May 8th, vote for Democrat Andrew Silvestrowitz for Lake County Clerk of Circuit Courts. Andrew is a qualified Democrat and has 12 years of experience as a councilman in Maryville at every facet of government. Make your vote count with Andrew Silvestrowitz for Clerk of Circuit Courts. Paid for by committee to elect Democrat Andrew Silvestrowitz.
I am Andrew Silvestrowitz, and I approve this message.
Andy. Hey, what's going on, everybody? AM 1230, WJOB 104.7 FM, the voice and face of the region here in Hammond, Indiana. I'm Jim Dietlow, the host, and I want to thank Rick Kubik and Sam Michael for taking over for me on Thursday and Friday as my 98-year-old grandmother was laid to rest on Wednesday evening at Calumet Park Chapels in Maryville. People coming in from all over the country. And I needed a couple days to kind of clear that out. I guess I never really took a couple days off when someone died. Just kind of worked through it. And then I realized, I go, man, you really need that when it happens. And so I was off on Thursday and Friday. So I'm back in the saddle today. Let's take a look at traffic. 294 around the city looks pretty good. A little bit heavy from Cicero on up to the Stevenson. But other than that, moving along well. Skyway 80 going east and west looks pretty good. The Bishop Ford's a problem. Let's talk to Big Rich right now. Big Rich, sorry about that. I know you've been waiting a while. How's it going, man?
It's going well, Jed. Just want to give you an update. So I heard that the Bishop Ford might be bad, so I did my usual Klein Avenue down to the toll road. Went to the Skyway, paid the ransom, and then stayed in the local lanes when I got on the Meg Ryan. And actually, a pretty easy ride in. The Ryan going in wasn't too crowded. So it took me about 31 minutes from Pine Avenue to guaranteed low-rate filled cellular.
You know, Big
4
Rich,
days of free fall.
if ever there was a day to take the Skyway and the toll road, today's the day, because the Bishop Ford is bad basically from the Steel Bridge until the Skyway merge, and then the Dan Ryan actually opens up from that way in. So today would be the day to pay the money or take the train, folks. Stay off the Bishop Ford, the southern end of the Dan Ryan right now. Big Rich.
Hey, Jim?
Yes?
Yes.
Your turn. You
Go ahead.
first.
Hey, I was flipping through the TV Saturday, and I think I saw Ryan and with his brother like dancing on TV. I can't be sure, but I don't know what Ryan was doing this weekend. So,
You know, we're going to get an update on that. I heard other rumors, similar rumors, so I will we'll get on that one right away. All right, man. Hey, Big Rich, have a good day at work, buddy.
all right, you too, bye.
Talk to you. All right, 7:09 in the Calumet region. Today's show is being overseen by normal producers Ryan and Ryan Walsh and Jimmy Mullaney, but the show is actually being hands on the levers is with Leonard and Autumn and Brittany, and Brittany's with me. Brittany, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I know you love being on the air, right?
Yeah.
Brittany, where'd you grow up? I don't even know.
South side of Chicago.
South side? Around what kind of cross streets?
Like 95th and Cottage Grove.
Okay. And so now you're going to Purdue Northwest?
Yeah.
Are you living down here now, or are you still up in the south side?
No, I live in Hammond.
You live in Hammond?
Yeah.
And you got a little guy, right?
Yeah.
How old's he?
8. Big boy.
What's his first name?
Brandon.
Is he getting big?
Yeah, he's like really tall, really big, smart too.
Oh, really? So is he in the Hammond schools, or is he?
Yeah, he goes to Hess.
He goes to Hess, huh? And I hear that he plays a little bit of basketball. Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay, so when he gets into 8th grade, you're gonna have to choose where you go to high school.
Yeah.
All right, it's not easy when different coaches are like, "Hey, man, you should probably come here." Hey, listen, you are going for sports broadcasting right now, right? And why are you doing that, by the way?
Because I just wanted to get a feel of how it would be doing sports broadcasting. I've never really been the biggest fan of sports, but I like to watch it, so I just wanted to see how it would be if I did choose to study more on sports and go that route as far as broadcasting.
Now you got a job, right?
Yeah, I have a job.
Yeah, so you're working full time. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I work overnight for Ford Motor Company. I work 10 to 12 hours a night, and then I get up and I go to school, and I'm a mom, and I just do it all.
So what time do you start on the overnight shift?
6.
It's 6, and then you end about
6.
About 6.
Yeah.
So is that 4 days a week or 5?
4. Sometimes 5.
4, sometimes 5. Now, are you on the line? Are you on the floor? Or are you in an office?
No, I was on the floor for about 5 years. Now I'm a quality auditor, so it's somewhat easier, like on my body and stuff, but still up for 10 to 12 hours, so it's like still exhausting.
What's a quality auditor do?
Just check the parts. If something gets messed up or it gets shipped in bad, we check it, make sure it's, still good to put on the line, to get put on the cars. Just check the quality of the parts.
Now, that would take someone who has an eye for detail, right?
Yeah.
And I can attest to this, that Brittany has an eye for detail. I was telling her stuff here, and for the very first time, she wasn't writing it down, and then as soon as I brought it to her attention, she ran back for her notebook. So that attention for detail on the floor to find flaws, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, exactly.
How did you develop that?
I think it's just over time, having a kid, for one, that'll make you do that. Just paying attention to the small things, and I've just always been like that. So I think that's what made me a good candidate for my job. I think that's why he hired me like right on the spot.
So it's mostly a male-dominated line, right?
Yeah.
And especially if I've worked in factories and construction and stuff. A lot of times overnight, it's not as many women.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of women. You're one of few women that are working overnight.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
It's rough. for me, it's better now because, like I said, I've been there for 8 years. But they try to make it intimidating. They try to make it very intimidating. But yeah, I grew up in Chicago. You can't intimidate me.
Let's end it right there because I already know that you can't intimidate Brittany. She'll be spinning the dials here along with Autumn. You guys have heard from Autumn before. We'll hear from her again. And also from Leonard. There are basically the 3 producers out of the class. And then we have 7 other students that are going to be doing shows in the evenings. And we will get going that either this week or next week. And they'll be doing sports broadcasting entirely student-produced and hosted. All right, thanks a lot, Brittany.
Thank you.
All right, guys, let's move on. Let's take some phone calls. 219-845-1100. All right, so I knew there was a number of people that were lined up that wanted to talk about this brouhaha that has emerged between Verley and the mayor of Hammond. Verley Suggs, of course, is my Tuesday co-host. She was at WLTH for a number of years, and she sits with me on Tuesdays, and she works as a flight attendant full-time, so she kind of moves her schedule to be with me. And to me, personally, it makes it a little easier for Tuesdays. I don't really have to prepare because she comes in kind of having an agenda of topics that we can choose from and has some background information on it. But let's just be straight. She is not a big fan of Hammond Mayor Tom McDermott, and the mayor of Hammond is not a big fan of her. And I've gotten some text that comes in. Liberals need more airtime. Stations lean mostly towards the right. Okay. From another one, 219 says blah blah blah. Verley goes way too far. Okay. Another one says the mayor pays for his show. Verley doesn't. Another text says people talk about Trump not acting presidential, but McDermott did not sound very mayoral there. And there are quite a few others, basically on both sides of this equation. So if you guys got any comments on it, if not, I'm not worried about it. We'll just move on. But I do have to tell you that it is Monday. And so that means every Monday, my childhood chump friend of, let me see,
nice sweater.
Of 42 years is now sitting at the end of the table, and that's William F. Baker.
42 years.
42? What's going on, Baker?
I almost brought in the picture from our T-ball team.
Why would you do that?
Because it would be something to laugh at. Because remember, life's too short not to laugh more, Jimmy.
Yeah. Did you have those Coke bottle glasses on?
As a matter of fact, I did. Got them when I was 7. You know, and I don't really appreciate the fact that you continue to point out that I have a disability.
Oh,
and you make fun of it. Now, we all know that I have a list of disabilities, but the fact that you have to pick out that one.
You know, one of the things that you got to do is that when you talk amongst, someone you've known for a long time, there has to be an unwritten rule that you're not going to get your feelings hurt. Because
don't chuck rocks when you live in front of a glass house.
My wife, first time she heard us talking to each other, and we left, and she's like, are you hurt? Are you okay? I mean, the things he was saying to you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It's just how we talk to each other.
Absolutely.
What are you talking about?
Except we can't cuss.
Yeah, except we can't swear, and some of the stuff that you know about the other person, you can't bring it out on the air. Absolutely. Because that list is long.
Back to the glass house again.
Yes, back to the glass house. Hey, Baker, there's a lot on the docket right now. But Baker's been, Billy came out to my grandma's funeral, so I want to thank you for doing that. Mm-hmm. Billy pretty much knows, I don't know, probably 30 of my relatives over the years. And so it wasn't like you were going into unfriendly territory.
No. There's just so many people in your family, It's just amazing. Because I come from a small family, and I was having a couple of conversations with some folks there. I'm like, there's, growing up, those are my friends that had, big families. I just go over there and just like shock and awe, because it would be like, it's just like mayhem, and there's so many people everywhere, and it's just like, this is really pretty cool. And then, but you know why? It's just like being a grandparent. You get to, hand the kid back. You get to leave.
Baker came over once and walked through the house, and my brothers and sisters, it must have been a weekend or something. We were kind of being lazy. And I just remember you coming down there, and it was kind of messy house, 5 kids, cousins hanging all around. And Baker goes, "Doesn't anybody know how to make a bed?"
There's people sleeping on the floor. I'm like, what the?
I can't handle this. Hey,
It's all right. You know, it's part of the education process.
Hey, let's see how Mad Mac's doing. Let's see about a good time. Hey,
Right,
Mad Mac,
early.
how are you?
Hey, what's Billy got? Erectile dysfunction? Is that his disability?
Nice.
That's what I hear.
Sildenafil, baby.
Expensive drugs.
This guy's all jacked up on Viagra all the time, I hear, when he's on the golf course. No wonder he's got such a stiff shaft in his 4-iron, huh?
Nice.
Nice. Well, I don't know what that means, but
Did I get beeped?
I can't hear you. So what's
Yeah.
going on?
Well, I got just a couple things. Your buddy, I even figured while you were talking Jeopardy with Comrade Vladimir, whatever the hell his name is there. I was thinking, is he still going to rip a Republican here somehow, even though he's supposed to be a reporter? Like taking money up from a child. Bingo. Yeah, he goes out and throws a couple cheap shots at Republicans. And then the other thing is, did you listen to the tape of McDermott's show on Friday?
You know what? We played it today around 6 o'clock, and
The whole
that was
thing?
Just your part.
I think the part from where you called in until I don't know. The mayor said it was time. You know,
He goes on his little diatribe.
yeah. Until the mayor said that he was looking forward to Verley coming in on Tuesday.
Okay. Did you pay attention or no? Or were you?
I mean, I was listening. I got a couple notes that you know, why does Jed do that? Why does he let her on? I think McDermott said she is a nasty woman. I think you said something about NIPSCO, which was pretty curious. You said all they do is hire people by race. I don't know what that means. What do you think? If you go into NIPSCO and you're white, you can't get a job, but if you're black, you get a job? Is that the insinuation?
Well, get her husband on the air and ask him what he does. That's what his job is. Oh, resume from white guy? Nah, we'll put that on the side here. Oh, you? Okay, yeah. Well, you're a little less qualified.
Wait a minute. How do you know
We'll shove
that?
you to the top.
You don't know what he does.
Okay. Do either one? Whoa! Pardon me?
You don't know what he
What do you-
does.
What do you think? I make this stuff up? Do you guys have any idea what his title is?
Absolutely
what does he do
not.
there?
I have absolutely no idea. He's the vice
Well, then-
president
then
of
why- then
every
why
time
would
the
you
wind
make that-
blows, the power goes out.
Why would you make that comment? What do you think? He's out on the line putting up wires? Come on. You guys got to do a little
Well,
homework,
I mean,
brother.
whatever his position is, I don't want to bring him into a fray that he's not party to. But why
it
would
has
you
to do
say?
with the
Why
team
would
of
you say
racism
that
that runs in their family.
NIPSCO? Why would you say that? What do you think? NIPSCO has discriminatory hiring practices. That's basically the charge that you're making.
Yeah, I mean, that's partially what that department that he runs does. That's absolutely what it does. What do you think affirmative action is when the case from UCLA, Bakke versus the United States of America came up? That was because a man qualified to go to UCLA medical school, had excellent grades, and was denied admission into UCLA's medical school. You guys got to do your homework. You're not.
Okay, but I mean, you know, if you have a,
Billy, I hear you laughing.
if you have Chief Dowling of the Cherville Department, Police Department, or Greg Mance in here saying Greg Mance is the head of Griffith, or Doty, the head of Hammond, and they all come in here and they all say the same thing, that they are actively recruiting African Americans and Hispanics to apply to their police departments. They're actively going out to job fairs and going out into the urban areas and so forth so that they can get more minorities.
Discriminatory.
Why is that? I mean, they're not hiring them based on their race. They're recruiting them to apply to their various police departments so they can be more reflective of the community at large. Why now? Is that is that discriminatory?
I will lead you to the commercial. There's a man in Chicago who is one of the most famous voices in advertising. He makes up the funny bank commercials. Everybody's heard him. You may not know his name. And he's in a commercial where he says, "Hey, I've been injured. I've been hurt. I need a doctor." And the guy says, "Oh, let me get you one right away." And then his response is, "Oh, but make sure it's not a black person." And the guy goes, "What?" He goes, "Oh yeah, I don't want a Jew either." "Well, what do you mean? Why would you want that? You just need to be healed." No, and then make sure it's not an American Indian. And the guy's like, "Why would you care?" Because I thought we weren't supposed to look at race. Oh, but I guess we still are, aren't we?
I mean, I just don't get your thinking, because you want your police force, you want your NIPSCO force to be reflective of the community.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't care if they come from Mars. When my house is on fire and me and my kids can't get out, I don't care who you send. I want a man or a woman to come in and rescue me.
Okay, so I get your black and white look on that is not, I get your thing, but to say that NIPSCO, I hear you, all they do is hire people by race. I think that's not accurate. That's not accurate. That was what you said. You said to the mayor on Friday, all that NIPSCO does is hire people by race. And I just don't think that's accurate.
They employ policies that are discriminatory. And you guys go, "Well, how does he know that?" Well, find out what his position is there, and you will have all your answers that you need.
All right. You were also critical of me for something or other. I forgot what it was. Again. So
eating on the air.
No, you had. What was your
I love when
criticism?
you eat on the air.
What was your criticism? I lost it in my notes.
Yeah, I
Look at
can't
that
believe
thing.
it.
What were you ripping on me for?
paper.
What were you ripping on me for?
Well, no, I wasn't necessarily ripping on you. I was like, I get that you give your buddy Verley rope, let's say. You give her some space in that, which you do to all callers to an extent, which is great.
Including
no doubt
you.
about it. Okay, easy, Billy. Back in the chair. But,
Chop. Let's go. Get to the point.
yeah, I thought it was a little. I thought it was maybe a little more leeway than you need. As opposed, let's say you're kind of biting the hand that feeds you, figuring. I know, Mr. McDermott there, Big Tommy. He does a lot for the station. Purdue County does a lot for the station. Hammond does a lot for the station. And what her opening remarks are, well, he's done a lot of good for Hammond. I will have to admit that. But I just hate him for all these other reasons. And then she just goes on and on. It's like, maybe just a little too much rope there, but.
Okay, all right. I mean, a lot of people are going to say that right now about you coming on these airwaves. And as a matter of fact,
almost impossible.
No, listen, as a matter of fact, if I had to gauge whom I get more criticism for having on the air, you or Verley Suggs, you win hands down.
That's professional jealousy.
All right, they're telling me I got to move on. All right, thank you.
All right,
I appreciate it. He got his 8 minutes. I mean, literally, we'll go out. I mean, how often? And I always gauge by walking around Strachan Van Til's, the one over here in Highland, because a lot of people know who I am. We lived in Griffith for a while, and people come up to me, and I probably get 7 or 8 opinions by the time I've walked through that store. And I love doing it on a Saturday. My wife's like, "I'm not going with you on a Saturday. It takes us an hour to get through there. You stop and talk to everybody." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm getting material." And invariably, I'll walk through there on a Saturday, and someone will harangue me about Mad Mac. And it's always someone from Griffith where he lives. It's not my dad.
That's your data set?
No, but I mean, it's just
I mean, he calls every day, so he's definitely a part of your business model, and I think he's on a little bit more than Verley. Verley has more airtime, but it's at one concentrated time, whereas Mad Mac peppers the airwaves, and part of it is just another perspective. Plus you like that as far as your business model. If there's not a little controversy going on with you poking the fire with that prod, then you're not really happy. You don't like that? Well, let's talk about that then.
Yes. Is this the thing you don't want to talk about? Well,
shouldn't have told me.
I can't really have a filter on what's a secret or not. So let's talk about that.
You know what bothers me is that for
Things bother you?
Well, you're right. Really, Baker's right. Not a lot bothers me, okay? But I'm going to act like it does. Or at least I'm curious about. That's better. You know what? I got called out because Baker's like, doesn't that bother you? I'm like, huh? Well, it doesn't. I don't get bothered
speaking your language
very much.
What's that language? That is just, I mean, really? I mean, that's about as...
Ishka Malufka? Hey, listen. Mad Mac and my dad hang out. That is just the weirdest thing. Why? And then my dad will be like, hey, I'm eating Mad Mac for a beer. You want to come? I'm pretty sure, Dad, tonight I would go to any other bar in the region except where you're going to Johnny's Tap right there. I'm not going there and sitting there with Mad Mac. I talk to him enough. I mean, I don't know. They get along, and it's
well, and once in a while you don't have to talk to people about politics and whatnot. I mean, you've brought that up to me more than once. Oh yeah, when Baker Kuziak brings up politics, I just shut down. Well, that's fine. We don't have plenty of other things to talk about. Excellent Masters, by the way. Why is it snowing? What the hell? Is that a new sweater?
Let's talk to Lefty. Oh, geez. Talk about Mad Mac types. Lefty's online, too.
What's up, Baker?
Hey, happy spring.
Same to you, brother. What's up, D-Lo?
Not much.
Hey,
Hey, hold on a second. Can I ask you a question? Is this Andy Silastrovich? Do you know this guy?
Yeah, he's my uncle.
Yeah, he's your uncle, right? That's what I thought. Did he live in Frogsville or Roxana?
No, he lived on the south side.
He was the south side guy. Okay. Yeah, all right. So go ahead.
All right. Burley lives in Maryville, right?
I don't know. I think Crown Point.
All right, Maryville, Crown Point, whatever. Mad Mac lives in Griffith. So it's all right for Mad Mac to call in. He lives out of Hammond, East Chicago, or Gary. But it's not all right for Burley to talk about that. Another thing is, Mad Mac asked you if you were paying attention. See, this mayor sent me a text one time that said GFY. Did you get what he meant when he said to Burley, see you next Tuesday?
Oh, no, I did not get that until you just said that. I thought he was like, I thought he was saying like I'm looking forward to hearing you on Tuesday, but I think you're giving that a little different turn.
Yeah, you could see the look on his face like, did his friends get it? Real professional. That guy's nothing but a scumbag.
So you and Verley get along or don't get along? I'm missing the point here. It sounds like you have one thing in common fairly strongly.
I get along real good with Verley.
Okay, you see, I'll tell you the same thing that I've told Verley. Okay, you are one-dimensional when it comes to Hammond Mayor Tom McDermott. You have been, you've gone to the election commission. You call up regularly to criticize him. And I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Freetimer Marsha Hani, a good friend of mine at the time, before she died. Has he ever done anything good in this city in your mind?
Dramatic pause.
You don't know what that means, do you? Has he ever done anything in your mind positive for the city of Hammond?
Anything he has ever done, you can figure that there was a price on it, that there's something good came to him out of it.
Okay. All right. Well, so that's kind of like a no. And I mean, I've just never understood your vitriol towards Hammond Mayor Tom McDermott. It goes to really deep lengths. There's something must have happened that set you off.
Listen, when you get on a radio and you tell people I submitted a contract for towing to him, which I never done, because there's a price to pay just like it was with that county stuff. Okay, I wanted nothing to do when you got to kick back money to get on a toll list. We don't do that in East Chicago, and I wasn't going to do it with anybody else. This guy should be in jail with the rest of them.
Okay, all right. Well, at least you're consistent. I mean, because that's you've been going after that for many years. All right, thanks a lot. Hey, well, thanks for coming in, Baker. I don't know what to say about any of this.
What are you doing with that notebook?
I'm just counting the pages. I count stuff all the
You
time.
can't read all of that scribble, obviously.
Oh, I
so,
can.
I mean,
oh, yes, I can.
Oh, you cannot. Go to the first page. What does it say?
It says, I don't have my glasses, Billy. I can't read it.
Here, you want to borrow mine? I have to carry them now.
I don't know. It looks... Hatcher. I interviewed Hatcher. This was November 7th
The
of
mayor?
2017. Yeah. Did you ever listen to that? We
probably.
couldn't get him to stop with it. He was that has to be one of the best
How
interviews
come I can't
ever.
go on the website and find specific things like that? I finally figured out how to go to YouTube and find stuff for you. That wasn't easy. And I mean, I'm not a savvy techo, but I got there. I mean, who's paying attention? You have 7,000 kids in here from college. Why don't you have them do something like fix up, catalog and all of the things you have?
Well, Baker, we come in here and we talk for a few hours, and then they talk for a few hours in the afternoon, and then now we're using it for educational purposes. We'll do stuff in the evenings. We'll have new shows and stuff, and then we go home and go to bed. Okay? I mean, what else do you want?
Well, wait. We go shopping for mics and cameras once a month or something to do that because it's all about lighting. We don't want to actually figure out how to adjust the umbrellas that are doing on the lighting, but we got lighting.
You got to go to a certain level and then
Stop.
And then move on. And then stop. Yeah. I mean, that's a pretty good way of putting it, I guess.
You got to a certain level and then yeah. But, I mean, that's kind of what we talked a couple of weeks ago. All right, if you're going to go, let's go. If you're going to learn how to play golf, let's hit that wedge without trying to break your elbow.
I guess it all kind of goes into the same mentality. No, I didn't. I don't know what Baker for years he was complaining when we'd play golf, and he's like, man, you can't jab your wedge into the ground like that and big beaver pelts.
I mean, it was at least 6 inches deep.
And I hit I'm not a great golfer. I'm a decent golfer, but I can hit a wedge and spin it just right and all that. And it caught up to me after all those years of him saying, man, you can't do that. It's going to catch up with you. All of a sudden, I went over to Doc Brown. He's like, dude, what have you been doing that you don't have any cartilage left in your elbow, your whole arm?
It's not
I'm
even
like,
your pitching elbow.
It's my pitch. It's like I hit the pitching wedge. He's like, well, whatever you're doing, don't do it like that anymore. So Baker was right. I get that. But you see, the whole idea is, and I learned this, Baker. I worked here for people that were able to keep the WJOB spirit going by just having a somewhat accepting attitude. But Colby and Grambo and Peterson and Irv Lewin and John Baranowski and Eric Alden, all of these are long, and Mike Farkas, is that you let the region just kind of say what they want to say, and that you don't overdo what WJOB is and what you expect out of it. It just continues to move forward. Now that we're going into streaming video and there's a huge market for it, yes, maybe I'll have to work a little harder. But for the most part, you let it come to you. All right, you want me to play some spots? We have some spots where we'll be right back on the voice and face of the region.
Mayor Anthony Copeland, along with the Department of Redevelopment and East Chicago Housing Authority, cordially invite you to attend the 2018 City of East Chicago Fair Housing Month celebration commemorating the 50th anniversary of the Fair Housing Act of 1968. This free event is on Wednesday, April 11th from 10 to 11:30 a.m. at the East Chicago Public Library, 2401 East Columbus Drive. Guests can tour the exhibit in the C. Templeton Gallery at the main library, featuring artwork from the students at Joseph L. Bach Middle School. To RSVP, call 219-391-8513.
From the Strachan Van Til Studios, your local Strachan Van Til has some great products on sale this week. Here's a few items you might want to add to your shopping list. Smithfield Prime all-natural boneless pork sirloin chops, $1.69 a pound. Red seedless watermelon, $4.99 each. And Hinkley Springs purified water, 24-pack, or select varieties, half-liter 6-packs of Dr. Pepper and Pepsi, $1.99 each. Strachan Van Til, proud to be Indiana-made and dedicated to being Indiana's grocery store.
Hi, I'm Tom.
And I'm Michelle.
And we're the Tomfoolery Fun Club. We're pleased to announce that Tomfoolery will once again return to the majestic Hoosier Theater in Whiting, Indiana for a very special event.
The Fun Club will be back at the Hoosier for an evening of delightful comedy and some amazing live music.
That's right, Michelle. The incredible Mickey Housley headlines a most talented lineup card of top-flight comedians.
On the musical front, fan favorite Nomad Planets will be in the house to rock the night away.
Please join us on April 14th at the Hoosier Theater in Whiting for this incredible Fun Club night out.
For ticket information, please go to tomfooleryfunclub.com.
That's tomfooleryfunclub.com.
TomFooleryFunClub.com, US 30 drag strip. Hey, listen, 294 around the city looks pretty good. That's kind of what that sounds like. Come on. 294 around the city is heavy from... Smoking. Yeah, smoking. All right, we got to play that now. Hey, from Cicero all the way on up past the Stevenson, tight. And so allow extra time to O'Hare. 80 going east and west looks pretty good. The Bishop Ford and the Dan Ryan. Bishop Ford starts getting bad right off the Steel Bridge. Red lights and a garbage dump, you'll see. And then that lasts all the way up to about 67th Street. So definitely take the Skyway and the toll road if you can afford it. And but it is a little bit heavy from Guaranteed Rate Field on in. And Skyway Toll Road looked good. Borman, I-65, US 30, Klein Avenue. They're all moving along pretty well. Traffic brought to you by Napleton River Oaks Honda, proudly serving North Indiana with superior customer service. And let's take a look at what's going on in the weather. 4 seasons in 1 week. Right now it's winter, as it's been snowing a good portion of the morning. It's kind of just a little bit of flurries left right now, and that should taper off in about an hour. And then it should actually go up to about 42 degrees, so much of this will melt away. So if you like snow and stuff on your car and walking the dog and getting your feet all wet, now's a good time to do that. A high of 42 today, high of 46 tomorrow, clouds and sun, maybe a little, should be a nice day. And then Wednesday, a high of 61, partly sunny and breezy. And then by Thursday and Friday, it gets 70 degrees. And nice with clouds and sun on Thursday, 70 degrees. That's like a summer day. So you've got winter, spring, fall, then summer by Thursday. And then by Friday, it gets even warmer. Gets into the low to mid-70s. But you also get some thunderstorms that come along with that. So right now it's 31 degrees here at the Strachan Van Til Studios on the campus of Purdue Northwest. And it is 30 degrees at Local 395 in Portage. And let's see, weather there is brought to you by Laborers Local 41, of which I am a proud alum. The markets are about up 150 on the Dow right now, going in to an 830.
Man, they've been all over the place,
Oh,
haven't
my
they?
God. Either you're making a lot of money, or typically when it goes up and down in the same range, local traders get hammered. If it moves one way, a long way, then, you know, you can make some money.
Well, I mean, I think that's interesting. I know that you have your notebook out and want to talk about some stuff, but, you know, that whole thing going on with the trade wars with China is what everybody's been yapping about for the last 20 years, and he's going after it. It's going to be interesting to see how that goes, because as much as people want change, people get caught up in that vortex and really don't like it because it causes some pain when you go from old to new. And think about how many times we've talked on these airwaves, Jimmy, about not being able to find anything not made in China. And starting to put a kink into that program is going to have a ripple effect, no doubt.
We're
Thanks for the stretch, by the way. That was just outstanding.
I was off the camera, so I stretched. All right, let's talk to a couple of people here, huh?
Big fish belly.
Let's talk to Jamie. Jamie, how you doing today? How'd you like the snow?
Hey, I'm doing good, Jim. Got a question. On Wednesday morning, right when Dave BX show starts, there's a warning on there saying that whatever he's talking about is his opinion. It has nothing to do with the station. It's warning everybody that he pays for the show. It's his own opinion. It's not the station's opinion. Friday mornings before the mayor's show, same thing happens. How come on Tuesdays when Burley's on there, we don't get that warning? Is it because it is the opinion of the radio stations and she's just the one that speaks for the radio station, or does it just not count with Burley?
Well, it's never the opinion of the radio station. I think what you're talking about... No, hold on. No. What you're talking about is that, and this is one of the things that I've been railing against, is that when somebody buys the time, they have to announce that at the beginning of the show. And that's all that is. I mean, you don't have to say anything about anyone's opinion or this and that. I think Kuziak does that, but all you got to do is say that Kuziak Construction buys this time or so-and-so buys this time. That's not what it is. I mean, when somebody talks, it's their opinion.
So if you're on that station and you're on regular WGLB time and you're not on anybody else's time, you could just rail somebody?
Well, I mean, you can voice your opinion. That's been going on here for how many years now? 93 years,
No,
94
it
years?
does, but I mean, when you're not control of the levers, sometimes you get turned off, and she never gets turned off. She gets to tell her complete story, her complete opinion, and that's not always the case. Even if you have a disagreement with her, she'll hang up on you. And I like her on the station, and I know why she's on the station, because she brings controversy. She brings ratings. I get the whole gig. I just want it all to be a fair shake for everybody.
Okay.
If we got something to say to her, let us finish. You know what I mean?
Well, you know, I mean, we try to do the best we
sometimes
can.
you guys hang up on us and we don't get our point across.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate your input on that. So I guess I'm a little confused. Do you like her on or not?
No, I don't mind her on, but I mean, I get it. She's on to bring up ratings. She likes stirring the pot. She's here to stir the pot.
Well, I mean, is that really why is she on, or is she here because she knows how to move a radio along and brings in her own opinions and her own, her own way of looking at things?
Why don't you take a poll for the rest of the day and ask your callers that call in why they think you have her on every Tuesday?
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot, Jamie.
All right.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, put that in your notebook.
Wait a second. That's like another thing to do. I'll tell you what, at 8 o'clock today when Dave Dowling for sheriff comes in, I'm off, and I'm teaching the rest of the day, so I won't be thinking about that anymore today.
Teaching?
I got class today.
Really?
Yeah. I actually teach the class.
Okay.
Why do you find that so hard to believe?
Let me get my 3-ring binder out.
Hey, Carl, how are you, man? I haven't heard from you in a while.
I'm doing all right. So, I mean, you are going to start labeling this program the fair and unbalanced radio hour? Or, wow.
Unbalanced for sure.
Hey, talk into the phone a little bit more clearly, will you?
Okay.
There you go.
Any better?
Yeah, that's way better.
Yeah, so, I guess extreme opinions exist in the region. You know, I got my issues with Verley, but I also, can agree with her on things. I mean, I'm not too sure about the, I hate Verley and she always does this, and I hate McDermott, he always does that. Well, from lefty, you can only get one answer on the whole McDermott family, so.
I guess you're right. I guess it's kind of a similar way of thinking in that either, the one way of thinking. But if you really think about it, Carl, it's kind of how politics and political thinking have evolved over the last 10 years. It's kind of one or the other. It's hard
I
to...
would not use the word evolved.
Yes.
Devolved.
Devolved, okay.
Yeah, again, I look back to Tip O'Neill and Ronald Reagan. Those two guys had nothing in common on the political spectrum, but they still worked together. They put the extreme ends aside and said, what's best for the country? Okay, you're here to temper me. I'm here to temper you. Move on. We're nowhere near that. Oh, and as far as trade wars with China, economically, they fired the first shot decades ago. If we stayed under the same construct, the steel industry in this country would be gone. I mean, they just use every means, fair and unfair, to try and get an edge on a market. Now they're pushing out militarily. They're putting islands off their coast so you can control the sea traffic on the far side of the Pacific. And their military has been ramping up for quite some time now. I think they're going to try and go for get this country without a shot. But it's just speculation.
What do you mean? Get this country without a shot? What are you saying?
Oh well, they'll take over, but it'll be like a signed contract lease thing. Here,
All right, hold on. Talk into the phone again. There you go.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I just think they're going to be able to buy us out. You look more like a lease or a contract. Welcome to being the newest colony of the Chinese Empire.
That's an interesting perspective, and of course, if you guys follow the show, Carl has served in 2 branches of the military. You know, Carl, the tariffs worry me. The tariff war worries me. I mean, yes, I understand protecting the local steel industry. That is kind of a parochial interest here. There's all sorts of people, especially farmers, who could really get hurt by this.
Well, couple of thoughts. One, there are more trading partners than China. They're the biggest, but yeah, we could still go elsewhere with things. 2, we've got some guy who's supposed to be the art of the deal man sitting in the Oval Office. He needs to get in there and try and renegotiate at least to better our position. Going down the same path, again, it ends at 0. And again, we're broke, hoping that they'll give us a job. And, there goes America.
All right, man. Thanks for calling in. I appreciate it. 219-845-1100. And I believe that Toll Road was next.
We are at war with China, and people better open their eyes. Because you guys, or people, they sit back and they don't really look at the big picture. They are stealing our intellectual property. They are stealing the plans for devices. They're stealing the plans for jet fighters and planes. And if we don't do something now, you can just kiss this country goodbye, because they'll just take us over. Their idea of R&D is basically to go in, hack computers, and take plans. And that's a fact. And that's what they're doing.
I mean, everything
And
tech-wise is
if people
made
don't
over
come
there.
up to speed on this, we're going to be in some deep stuff. And everyone, all of the soybeans, all of the cars, all of this, it's bigger and bigger and bigger than any of that. Because intellectual property is stuff you can't replace. Companies in this country have spent billions of dollars to develop plans and ideas and technology, only to see it stolen by the Chinese. Why? Because we go over there and try to manufacture it because we think it's better to manufacture it cheaply. Well, sometimes cheaply isn't better.
All right, so if we go over there to manufacture it and we got to hand over our technology, is that on us or is that on them?
If they're basically taking the technology and putting us out of business, who's it on? I think it's a two-way street.
Well, I guess the natural question is, why aren't we making it ourselves?
Well, that's a good question. The other thing that we run into here is I just lost my train of thought.
Hey, you know what? Have you had your coffee? Have you had your coffee yet?
I'm sitting here eating my Cheerios, and I got my cup of tea here, and I got my cranberry juice. Because we're all getting older there.
Hey,
maybe I'll get out there, Bill, and hit a couple of balls. Say, oh shoot, I'll get lost in the white stuff.
Hey, let me ask you, what do you put on those Cheerios, or do you buy the Honey Nut Cheerios?
Well, the Honey Nut Cheerios are probably the best because they got a good taste to them.
But you're eating the regular Cheerios
with cranberry juice on it.
Actually, today is peanut butter crunch.
You know what? That's the #1 worst cereal on the market. I'm sorry. I don't know why peanut butter does not.
It didn't say it was made in China, Jim. That's why I bought it.
Bye. Let's see how Roxanne's doing. Hi, Roxanne. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing okay.
Morning.
Okay. I am calling because I got to stick up for Verley. I think the problem with the viewers is you only have middle-aged white men on your shows. And they're not used to a woman's point of view.
Huh. Is that true, D-Lo? Is there only middle-aged white guys on your radio?
There's a lot. So,
Yeah.
all right, so what happens when a strong, rather opinionated woman or whatever race comes on the air? What do you think the acceptance rate is among other middle-aged white guys?
Middle-aged region white guys.
Okay.
They can't deal with it.
Why?
Because she's smart.
So do you think that some of the non-acceptance of Verley has to do with her being a woman? So in other words, if it was a guy at the end of the table tomorrow, that it might happen differently.
Her personality is the same as Kuziak's. Her personality is the same as Reardon. Her personality is the same as McDermott's. But she's a woman.
I have not had anybody tell me that. It's always boiled
Because-
down. It is always
because you
boiled
only have
down.
men calling.
It's always
Most of the
boiled
people-
down to race when it comes down to that.
Well, that's a region thing, too.
Call more, Roxanne, because that would help.
What do you mean that's a region thing, race?
Well, because, you know, a lot of the people calling are white guys.
Okay, well, what does that mean?
Well, come
Only
on.
white guys
What
listen to
is
your
it?
radio station.
There's a lot of white guys listening to your radio station. I hate to say it.
So what about diversity when it's brought to the airwaves? How do you think the average white guy handles that?
I don't know. I mean, has it been brought to the airwaves? Maybe you need to bring it to the airwaves.
Well,
Except
I
you've
think
got the guy
that goes
from
two ways in that.
Or whatever the hell his name is. He's going to say, you know, if you go out and look for it, he's going to say you're racist. You know, but HR can look for diversity without being racist.
That is what HR is supposed to do in a lot of places.
Exactly.
But
Well,
it-
how about this conversation? Is diversity more important than getting the best person, regardless of race, creed, color, sex, whatever the list is? Or
No,
do you
but
have to
that's-
have that mix, and then maybe the talent level isn't what it would be? Be it all women, all men, all of any color, all purple, doesn't matter.
But Bill, sorry, we wouldn't have, we wouldn't need affirmative action if all was equal, but it's not.
What do you mean?
Still, it's not.
What's not equal?
Life's not
The
equal.
world
Life's
is
not
not
fair.
equal.
But life's not fair either.
Okay, but you know what? No, it's not, and that's why we still have race issues, and that's why we still have issues in the world that, you know, look at our prison systems and look at why, you know, even in Munster, I just saw 3 people pulled over in the last week, and they were all black people.
All right, let me ask you this, and I'm just curious, and I'm just curious for the answer here, and that is, all right, when you look at the controversy over Verley coming on here, and I don't know why that has become like that, is it more because she is black or more because she's a woman?
Or because of her opinion?
No, wait. No, let's hold on a second. What do you think creates more controversy from her being here? The blackness or the womanness?
I don't know, but it just kind of dawned on me. I'm like, the only people that you have as guest hosts are middle-aged white men, but really her personality is as strong as anybody else that you have on. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's kind of an issue. So why is it they have such an issue with this strong woman? Because she's no different than McDermott's personality. And really, she doesn't say she doesn't like McDermott all around. She said a couple weeks ago that there were things that she thought were good about what he's done to the city of Hammond.
He called her a nasty woman the other day.
Well, you know what? I like some things he's done, but he definitely has an ego. There's no doubt about it. But I think anybody in politics has to have an ego.
Do you think he had too much ego?
I don't really have an opinion because, you know what, I don't really have an opinion. I could care less.
All right. Hey, thanks for calling. I appreciate it.
Okay, bye.
219-845-1100. And let's talk to who is next? Vinny was next. Vinny, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, good, Jim. How are you?
Okay, what's happening?
Not a whole lot. You know, I got a feeling they're going to postpone these next 2 games, you know, because this is going to be for first place between the Pirates and the Cubs. And, you know, we're 7-2 and Cubs are 5-4. Cubs are 2 games out. This is going to be for first place.
Let me tell you what. I'm guaranteeing they're playing today.
They said it's going to be 50-50. I'm watching the news right now, and they said it was going to be like 50-50, like for today and tomorrow. They're going to try to get these games in, but it's going to be like a 50% chance.
Ryan, they're still playing, right? Yeah, we haven't heard any word. I got to tell you, the later it goes, the more I think they're going to play. And I would like to see them play today. I want to watch them.
Yeah, you know what? I got to be at work. I know Sandy's going to be watching them, and I know on Wednesday's game, I'm going to tape Wednesday's game between the Cubs and the Pirates because Penguins start their playoff, their Stanley Cup push and everything. So, that's going to be good.
All right, I'll tell you what. Tomorrow, call me. Let's talk about both the Sox and the Cubs. Right now, I got to finish up a couple calls. All right, thanks, Vinny.
First of all, I want to say my condolences to the Junior Hockey League that lost 14 lives all over the weekend with that bus crash.
Crazy stuff. All right, Vinny, let's hit that tomorrow. Thank you, buddy.
All right, I appreciate it. Let me call you tomorrow about that, okay?
Okay, sounds good. All right, thanks. Bye. We're going to take Spike, David, and Deb. Everybody else, you guys are out. Let's go to Spike first. Hey, Spike, how are you?
Hey, Jed Bakes, good morning.
Morning.
Here's a little old-aged, 68-and-a-half-year-old white Caucasian male. Listen, I really think Burley brings a nice other side of the view to your radio station. Let me put a comparison with our good old buddy that we lost, the preacher. I mean, it gives for interesting radio, and you don't have to agree with everything everybody says, but it adds to the delightfulness of listening to your radio while I'm doing my bills at my desk.
Hey, since you have been around for so long, Spike, 30 years ago, 50 years ago, do you think that more people were open to other opinions?
No, I think people were more set in their minds back in the older days. I think there was, you were raised differently. I think now society is more open-minded and more apt to state their opinion, where before you just kept quiet and did what you had to do.
What was the South Side like 35 years ago?
Same way the region is. I mean, I've been out here all 30 years. I've been out in the region now, but I was from the southeast side, but it was the same way. I mean, it's your opinions were, mainly kept to yourself, other than political opinions, but you got up on Sundays, went to church, had your Sunday dinner with your family. I mean, it was a different lifestyle. Wives were stay-home mothers that kept the house clean and the kids to school and dinner around a table. They weren't two working people. So it's a complete different society now than what it was back when I was a teenager.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Spike.
Hey, would it kill you?
Hey,
it's different now.
Let's go to Deb on line 5 and then David. And that's it. Everybody else, I know you guys want to call, but we got to end, right? Hey, Deb, you got it. Go.
Good morning. I'd like to go back to the China issue. And I can remember back in grade school, we had current events, and we had to find local, state, and national issues. And I remember seeing on television and reading in the paper when Nixon went to China, that I was a child, probably, 12, 13 years old, okay? The first thing out of my mouth was, and my parents were in the room, why is he going and dealing with communists? Because that's what we were taught in, like geography and history and what have you. I knew well enough as a child these are communists, and this is where it has got us today.
Cold War.
That's about all I can tell you.
All right, Deb, thank you.
Have a great day.
Hey, you too. Final call. David, you're it. Go.
Hey, Billy.
Hey,
Jed.
Hey.
Two things real quick. One, we need to stop blaming the communist Chinese, like Deb said, right? These are American transnational corporations willingly giving up their proprietary and intellectual property to have cheap labor. All right, stop blaming the communist Chinese. We're just giving them what, it's most of it, and you say, who's the chicken or the egg, right? Most of it is American transnational corporations doing that. That's what I have to say about that. Two, the mayor in Burley, I'm going to put a little different spin on this. We have a very important election. It's a month away. I would like Chairman Weezer to get involved in this, because they have two very popular, very loved Democrats on a radio, and I know it's good radio, but just I mean, the Democratic Party of Lake County has already set itself back 30 years. I don't want to see a top Democrat and then an underling Democrat as in Verley, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but she would understand what I mean by that. Two very popular Democrats hashing this out and acting like children on the radio a month away from a popular election. We have enough hurdles as a party to unify, and then we get two very popular Democrats going at it on the radio. I would plead with both of them. Do this, do this on your own time. Do this off the radio, and Chairman Weezer needs to get involved in this, because it's hard enough getting people elected other than this ticky-tack caddy stuff we're hearing on the radio.
Thanks, Dave. Talk to you.
Sure.
I'll pick up this stuff again tomorrow. They'll pick it up. Sam's on at 1 o'clock today. Who's sitting for Harlow today? Tony Ponick will be in for Harlow. Send a prayer for Harlow, everybody.
Amen.
Baker, thanks for coming in.
All right, thanks, Jimmy. And remember, hey, life's too short not to laugh more. Be safe. Make it a great week.
And today, that show for Tony Ponick will be 3 to 5. Ryan Walsh will take over NCAA Insiders at 5 o'clock, and he'll go to, they'll start a little bit early. It's their final show of the year. All right, guys, I'm out, and this next portion will be bought by the committee to elect Dave Dowling for sheriff of Lake County. So I'm out. This studio will be paid for the next 25 minutes. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you later.